All right, welcome back to another episode of Scoundrels, Inc., where we're talking about
Ant-Man and the Wasp 3. Quantumania.
No, but another favorite movie, The Last Jedi. This is continuing our Skywalker Saga series, where we've covered already the original trilogy, the prequel trilogy, and now we're talking about the sequel trilogy. This one is going to be a fun one because, as everyone knows on the internet, just do a quick query search and it's like, wow, people love to talk about this movie.
People love this movie.
People love this movie, yeah. I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to do something special for the fans here. If you like this movie, click the thumbs up button. If you dislike this movie, leave a comment and tell us why.
Believe me, I don't think you even had to ask those people.
I know. I understand that, Frank. I'm just rolling in our engagement call.
I know, and I was just oh my gosh. You can also listen to us on podcasts if you want to watch our faces on Spotify, Apple, do all that, and subscribe whether you like this movie or not. It'll really help us out.
And if anyone has figured out what a rabid cur is, let me know in my DMs.
Do you want it? Do you want me to tell you?
I have no idea what that means.
Okay.
Yeah, I was thinking about that.
That would be
earlier. I was like, he says cur. I'm like, what does he mean exactly?
Oh, do you really not know what the?
I actually didn't mean to look it up, and I didn't.
A cur is a dog.
A dog. Now we're talking about Star Wars. So what type of animal would he?
It would be a Tuscan Mastiff.
Ah, yes, of course.
Anakin killed a lot of those.
Although, don't we just see a dog in something? There was some Tales from the Jedi.
Crystal Critters.
There's just Tales from the Jedi. There's just a dog.
Is there?
In the first episode with Qui-Gon and Dooku.
No.
There's just a dog in that
maybe
village.
You're right. I don't know. I don't recall.
It's
so I'm not going to
just
say
a
you're wrong or
normal,
not.
generic
That's
dog.
deliberate because that's animated.
Yeah, it's
anything that's made is deliberate. It's not like it's a
I don't
documentary
know.
where they're.
There could have been a dog if it was a Skywalker dog ran on set.
In an episode of The Mandalorian, there's a guy in jeans standing in the background. That wasn't deliberate. Jeans guy.
Jeans.
Yeah.
Oh man, I totally forgot about Jeans guy. And then he's not there anymore.
him out.
Yeah, they
He's
CGI'd him
gone.
out. That's
not even really CGI. That's just like a little
paintbrush.
I mean?
You ever see the green guy focus mode? I think it's called, where he like reveals like the green screen on like certain like still parts from movies and stuff.
The guy that does it as a joke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great video. Great video where he like reveals like Dwayne The Rock Johnson isn't actually that buff. He's just CGI'd that way. Oh wow! Look at
it's just a dog,
and that's on Wikipedia. Okay,
dog.
That's a brand new. That's a brand new thing.
Are you going to put that up on screen right here?
Yeah, Frank will put this on screen.
It's totally.
But also, when you go to the dog page, it's also those.
Oh, wow. Okay. All right. Well, in order to talk about this movie, I thought about let's talk about it in chunks because there's like separate things going on here concurrently. But we have the opening of this movie is like a big point of discussion. And then you obviously have the Kylo Rey relationship, which combined with Luke, and then you have the whole everything going on with Canto Bight, which everyone loves. Then you have all the stuff going on with Holdo and Poe, which everyone loves.
Everyone loves
this part. Everyone loves. Yeah. I'm sorry, loves to talk about it. Doesn't mean they love it. They just love to talk about it.
Okay.
So, and then obviously you get into the Snoke stuff. So, I think just kind of to kick it all off is, actually, we usually first talk about how we saw this movie.
Who talks first? You talk first.
That's the other movie.
Oh, I don't know. Sean said.
Yeah,
last time.
Wait a minute, guys. Before we get started, Kevin Smets has a very important message for you.
Okay.
About your mother. Got him.
That's good.
He didn't send me a message.
That's good. He didn't send me one either.
I'm stalling for what? Nothing.
For what? So, yeah, before we get into all of these areas of the movie, we do talk about how we saw the movie, how our experience was with it, and I guess maybe our feelings on the movie just to kind of kick things off. So, Brandon,
yes.
Do you remember the first time you saw this movie?
I do. So, I wasn't officially living in California yet, but I was living out of like a hotel for work, right? And so, I didn't really have like a lot of friends out here yet. But I'm like, I'm not missing The Last Jedi. So immediately after work, I went to the first showing in Dolby Cinema.
Nice.
Obviously, super hyped. I do this podcast. Of course, I'm hyped for a new Star Wars movie. Sick title, sick trailer. It's time for the Jedi.
You didn't do the podcast then, though.
No, but I do the podcast now because I like Star Wars. So obviously, I was excited back in the day.
Got it. Okay.
Which is crazy to think of 2017 as back in the day.
Oh my gosh,
but-
2017.
I was 46 years ago.
too many years. So I went to go see it by myself in Dolby Cinema, and I loved it. It's one of those movies to me where my heart was pounding the entire time. I was on the edge of my seat. I don't know what the hell was going to happen next. I felt like a kid watching Star Wars again for the first time. That's how I always describe my first experience with this movie. And I feel like I was the only one in the theater who loved it because like nobody else was reacting to anything.
Oh, man, yeah.
Especially like literally like, yeah, I remember like when, Leia using the Force like to fly back to the ship in space. Like I know people like to clown on that scene, but I personally like it like blew my mind to see that happen. And I was like freaking out, and I'm like, why is nobody else even like making a sound? Like, this is
Are you guys
watching the same opening night? I'm like, are you guys watching the same movie that I am? Like, Leia is using the Force, flying through outer space right now, and people are just like, And then like also when Yoda shows up, I don't think anybody even clapped.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm like, this freaking Yoda guy.
Dang.
We haven't seen him.
Yoda shoots a lightning bolt.
Yeah, he does.
Not from his fingers though.
No, but he.
No.
That would make him evil.
Yeah, I guess if lightning comes through your fingers, it's evil. If you
He used the Force.
if you call lightning,
Yeah,
from
yeah.
the sky.
yeah, okay.
That would have been sick though.
So I think that was a pretty positive response.
Pretty positive. I mean, I loved it. It blew me away.
You loved the movie then, and you still love.
I still love it. Right? Rewatching it now, I'm like, wow, this is an S tier.
That's
Star Wars
very
movie.
true because I was sitting over there on the couch and then you were over here looking at the TV and I just thought I was watching you watch the movie. I'm like, this looks like Brandon's watching the movie for the very first time. This is amazing. I was gonna take a picture, but I just took a mental image. So.
Hey, Frank, how do you feel? Well, do you remember the first time? Do you remember your first time?
I do remember my first
You
time.
want to tell us about it?
Yeah, it was
What
on
was
my
her name?
mom's birthday, and
Whoa! All right.
I forgot my mom watches this show.
Hey, Mom. Hi, Mama Frank.
Yeah. Anyway, okay. So look, maybe she'll skip this one. Okay. So
Don't.
I want to go.
Don't.
I want to go back to Star Wars Celebration.
Your
though.
mom went drinking with us before a comedy
Yeah,
show.
yeah.
I think she could watch us make some jokes on the air.
That's true. That's true. Anyways, I
You're
wanna go
waiting
to
for
Star Wars-
marriage. We know.
Yeah.
Don't worry, Mama Frank.
Yeah. Yeah. So Star Wars Celebration. I remember this was. Where was Celebration at? This
Chicago?
was in yeah, Chicago. Yes. No.
Florida?
Orlando. Right.
Wait, which one? Because yeah, it was Orlando.
Yeah, Orlando.
Yeah, because Chicago was
Rise of
Rise
Skywalker.
Skywalker.
Yes, that's right.
I watched that trailer on a plane. That's next week.
Yeah. So I do remember being very hyped and just very, very curious about this movie.
I had so many questions after.
Oh,
the
absolutely,
first
because
trailer.
of the way. First of all, The Force Awakens ends. What is it going to be like? There was reports and all leaks, whatever, that, or not even a leak. I think it was just reported that The Last Jedi was going to pick up immediately after The Force Awakens, or like at that ending on the island, right?
I guess it kind of had to, right? Like,
Well, I mean, not necessarily, but we can get into that.
Yeah.
And so, I just remember just being really, really curious about what is this movie going to look like. Then we see the trailer at Star Wars Celebration, and I remember actually, you can find myself and Aaron Turner, and I believe another friend of ours, Rasika, from our old Schmodown kind of crew or group, whatever. And we're actually like on the IGN like live
I know he
reaction.
watches.
Yeah.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah.
no, he doesn't.
We're on the IGN live reaction video, like in the very small corner, like at the very bottom right corner of the video. But anyways, I just remember being in a room, and that was my first Star Wars Celebration as well. And I just remember being in that room with all these people. I wasn't inside any hall or anything like that. It was near the Star Wars live stage, and just remember watching it and just like freaking out, because then like Lucas is like, it's time for the
It's time
Jedi
for
to
the Jedi
end.
to
And you're
end,
just like, what does that mean? Like, I just remember being very, very inquisitive.
Yet somehow people were still shocked when he said it in the movie.
Right. It was the exact shot. It was the exact shot of the same line, everything. So it wasn't like anyway. So I just remember having a very good experience at Star Wars Celebration, getting hyped for this movie. It was such a fun time in the lead up to this movie. And my other friend back home, Danny, him and myself, we did a double feature of The Force Awakens and then lead it into The Last Jedi on premiere day. And so it was really fun to watch The Force Awakens and then like 10 minutes later, whatever it was, watch The Last Jedi and the way it opened and how the movie started. And you're just like, wow, this is really, it goes together so well, the way that they did it. And my theater experience was pretty positive. I saw it in Dolby too as well. And great sound, great picture, and the audience was very receptive, like even to like the holdo maneuver point, like people were just like, what the blah blah blah. When Yoda shows up, people are clapping. There was some really good moments and reaction from my theater audience at that time. And I think that's when you go for like a double feature, you're gonna get those fans, that are really invested, as opposed to
everyone who's going to see both movies. There's
a different level of investment, I should say.
There's a different level of investment, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess I have to be the devil's advocate here.
In your experience,
You've never seen the movie.
I've never seen this movie. No. I went opening night, 7:00 showing. Good I don't know if it was Dolby or whatever. I don't pay attention to that shit. And I remember walking out of that theater and just being unsure.
Sure.
I noticed this for me, if I don't like a movie, I never hate it when I walk out. If that makes sense, right?
Okay.
I'm a pretty gentle
first time watcher.
Mm-hmm. So I remember walking out of that theater and going, I don't know how I feel, and kind of had to process a lot of it.
Yeah.
Right. Now that being said, there's parts I fucking love about this movie.
Oh yeah.
I want to get a tattoo of a scene from this movie.
Oh, interesting.
So keep in mind that my negativity
right here.
That's actually a good tattoo. That's not it, but that's a good tattoo. My negative. So keep in mind, while I don't, this is not by any means my favorite Star Wars movie.
Sure. Okay.
But as I say about all Star Wars movies, when I say I don't like a Star Wars movie, I still probably like it better than a lot of other movies because it's fucking Star Wars, right? But yeah, I understand some of the negativity around this movie because for me, there are parts that just do not hold up for me.
Holdo, it's pronounced.
I love the holdo maneuver. I think some of the stuff I've like, for example, I think, and I know we're going to get into detail, but I think in order for me to explain my position and my thoughts on this movie, I have to kind of go into detail, right? I think the MG-100 Star Fortress bombers are dumb. I think that the only thing they do is serve a plot purpose, but they don't. And I think this is ultimately an issue for me with the sequel trilogy is a lot of things in the sequel trilogy tend to serve a plot purpose rather than a world building purpose. Whereas I don't think that's true for the George-led movies.
Okay.
I think the George-led movies, George put a lot more thought into world building. Whereas JJ's not a world building guy, Ryan's not a world building guy, right? There's plot and storytelling, and they're leaving world building secondary, which is fine. That works great. But when you're looking at a franchise like Star Wars, that world building matters, right? The MG-100, the Star Fortress bombers are nonsensical. That being said, I fucking love that opening scene, right? I love the jokey bits with Poe. Yeah, it feels off. It feels like a Marvel movie. It doesn't necessarily feel like Star Wars. I fucking love it.
Does it feel like 2017 perhaps?
But yeah, exactly. It feels like 2017.
Yeah.
and I think it works. But like, yeah, the Canto Bight stuff doesn't work for me, right? The whole plot line with Rose and Finn doesn't really work for me. It feels tacked on.
Sure.
The Poe and Holdo disagreements, it feels like manufactured.
We'll get.
Feels like manufactured. But I'm saying, but like, no, I'm sorry, I didn't need Luke to ignite the green for this movie to work for me. The Porgs work for me. Octo works for me.
My pork.
There's a pork right there.
But there's a lot of little things to me that don't add up for this movie. Like the Leia scene doesn't work for me. You know, Leia's force flight.
Well, you're wrong, and I'll fight you right now.
I'm sure you will.
Physically.
I do also want to say, when I left the theater after my first watch, I was a little bit like you as well. I was like, wow, it was something that I wasn't expecting, and I was like, do I like that? And because there is a lot of stuff in this movie that I do like, but there was some challenging. This movie is the most. This movie challenged you the most of any movie in the franchise in terms of what it was presenting, you know, and how it was confronting certain characters, and how it was confronting you with what it was for, in being in particular to Rey and her storyline, and Luke and his character arc, in terms of, you know, some of the jokes. I was like, oh, okay. Porgs and all that stuff really bothered me. It just was, you know what? I left the theater thinking, man, we didn't have a lightsaber battle. That's interesting.
Well, we kind of did,
right? But it wasn't lightsaber on lightsaber, your traditional third act lightsaber battle, right? And I was like, and was I bummed about that? Yeah, I kind of was. But, and we'll get into this too. But it's just like, are you gonna have Kylo and Rey fight 3 times?
Just right.
You know, so it's like after I ended up seeing it 2 more times in the theater after that, and actually the second and the third, I liked the movie more and more, and I got it more, and I sat with it more, and I was like, you know what, this movie actually really does a lot for the franchise. It's not the quote unquote rehash that The Force Awakens was. It was doing something new, which I immensely appreciated.
We'll get into why I disagree with that.
Sure. Before we do that, any last words? Before
I want to know how many times. Brandon. So you saw it 3 times. How many times did you see it in theaters?
I think I saw it 5 times in theaters, 3 times opening weekend.
Holy crap!
So I probably saw it twice opening weekend.
Really?
Yeah. So like, again, it's a Star Wars film. Right?
I think I saw it Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday. I think.
Yeah, I saw it twice opening weekend.
Or
and
it was Thursday, Friday, Sunday.
And then I saw it at least 2 more times after that.
Mm-hmm.
I probably saw it 4 times.
But I did think of a better joke. Say it doesn't hold up.
It doesn't hold up.
You mean Battle of Chiron belt hold up?
Fucking hell.
Okay, so let's jump into the beginning of this movie because it actually does not start immediately with Rey and Luke on that cliff or whatever. It goes right to the First Order,
the Fulminatrix.
The Fulminatrix?
That is the name of the Dreadnought.
Oh, the Dreadnought. Gotcha. And
Captain Kennedy.
I do actually like the way it starts and you zoom down onto the planet.
Exciting.
It's a good shot. I like the Fulminatrix. It's again, I have a world building issue with the ship. It's a dumb ship, but I like the design of it.
Those things are cool. Fleet killers.
Yeah, so we do all of that.
And clearing out our surface cannons.
We don't see a fleet battle in any of these fucking movies.
I mean, this is as close as you get, and it also goes to show you that how like downsized the Resistance is. You're like, whoa, this is futile for the Resistance to try and fight the First Order.
And we find out. Well, we'll get. So, how do you guys feel about the prank phone call?
I like it.
I'm like whatever about it.
Okay.
I don't hate that it's in the movie like some people do. Are just like, oh my god, what is this? I'm like, it's a little silly little gag.
It's modern. It's more modern than anything we've.
It definitely is until it does stick out for that reason because Star Wars traditionally doesn't feel like a modern time movie. You know,
it feels like even the prequels feel like they're
in a galaxy far, far away. You know, it just
they feel like they're written not for the 2000s. They feel like they're written for the
something.
80s.
Yeah, totally. And people have criticized the dialogue and whatnot in the prequels, So yeah, Star Wars dialogue is always going to get criticized, I think, one way or the other. Whether it's the jokes or the verbiage or whatever however they talk, blah blah blah. That's just whatever. And this, I think, what this joke was, it was too earthy. It was too our world, which I understand that, but it's also just like
they have mothers in Star Wars.
They do.
I think the Yo Mama joke might have been like a bridge too far, but I think the rest of it I like a lot.
I thought that was a sick burn.
It was a sick burn. How do you feel about BB-8 being the one to say I have a bad feeling about this?
I love it.
I think it's hilarious.
I think it's great.
Once you figure it out, like basically someone has to tell you.
And I just like that there's more focus on Droid, at least for this portion of the movie, because the whole sequel trilogy doesn't really focus too much on the droids. A little bit more in Rise with Dio and whatnot, but
with Dio and BB.
Yeah, so sure, but like, and even 3PO actually.
Well, and R2 is
actually Rise really does
all four of our. I'm a little iffy on introducing a new companion droid in the third film.
Sure,
but like all four of the companion droids have at least one good scene, and 3PO especially shines in the third movie,
totally.
Which we'll talk about next week.
Yeah. But up to this point, we didn't get a whole lot of what I'm saying is in The Force Awakens, we get a whole lot of droid stuff going on, and so I liked that it was kind of more incorporated, and you got to see BB-8 with Poe, which was great.
But I also think this movie lets BB shine quite a bit.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
But I love
in some ways that people don't really particularly care for it.
Sure. We'll talk about that.
Yeah.
I like the opening battle. I like Poe being this daring pilot with
I thought it was so ballsy for him to just shut off Leia. I'm like,
with the stupid afterburner. Like,
so cool though.
Yeah, but it's so cool. Like a lot of this movie is very cool.
Very cool. It's so well shot.
A lot of it is also not that cool.
Well, I'm sure we'll get to those parts.
Yeah.
I do like the World War II feel of it. With the bombers, especially, I know that's exactly, I think, what Rian Johnson was going for, and I really dig that aspect of it, and I like the drama that he brought in this opening sequence with the bombers, and it was shot in a way where it was just, she's not going to catch the controller. Yeah. He shoots it in a way where it looks like she can't even grab it, and it's really a classic type of filmmaking type of technique where you think that way, but then she grabs it, so you're like, and you listen to this response of like, she did grab it, and boom, dropping all the bombs, and it's a great moment, and Kennedy's just like, he just basically flips off the resistance.
I love
with a head nod or whatever.
I love this whole opening sequence. It really gets like the blood flowing. I think you're like right from the jump, you're excited like watching this movie, and love Captain Kennedy. He's
great.
He's like this old like imperial, whatever his ranking is, general, captain.
He's a captain.
Captain.
That's why he's called Captain Kennedy.
Yeah, but I don't know. Maybe maybe he got promoted. I don't know.
Okay. Oh, okay, I get you.
Self-promotion. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's probably like was probably like a colonel or a corporal. Like right.
Like, but yeah, he's like this imperial. He's like from the Empire, right? He served in the Empire, and he's just like he feels like he's just annoyed. He's like working with a bunch of amateurs.
The captains and Hux around him are all, they're all children. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that character. That character is so good. But I want to talk about another character in the scene. Taliesin Lintra.
Bombs away.
Is one of the best pilot actresses we've had.
Yeah, she was pretty good.
Like probably the best pilot actress we've had, period. Because the only other two we have is Jess Pava and Bravo 2.
Yeah, Bravo 2.
Are you talking about just in the movie? Because Jessica Henwick has gone on to become like a pretty big actress.
I'm talking about in the movie. You're right about that. But I'm saying like, true, as far as like, she like sells being that rebel pilot.
She's very memorable.
Yeah, very memorable.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Too bad she died.
Yeah, we all walked out of that movie going, who the hell is that?
We got to get her for our next project, man.
Hermione Corfeld.
That is true.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Schmodown.
Cool.
Schmodown. I knew that. I would have gotten that multiple choice for sure.
Yeah. But it was really, I think, and then
Too bad it was your round 3.
But what also this battle?
It's always the 3-pointer.
What also this battle? Yeah. What also this battle really does really well to illustrate just how depleted the Resistance then becomes because of Poe's flyboy antics and
Dead heroes.
I mean, I just love the way though that Poe is like he's like a Jedi flying the ship. If he
he's an ace. He's an ace pilot.
He knows,
Got Jedi
when he
reflexes.
does that like sliding like
can see
break
things before they
whatever.
happen.
You know what I'm talking about when he does that break and he's like
the reason for it is
so
because
cool.
Unlike what other movies might tell you about Poe's past, the establishment of Poe's past prior to this movie was that he's been a pilot since he was a child.
Because his family,
because he grew up basically grew up.
His parents were at the Battle of Andor, right? Is that right? Or they were. No,
you're thinking of Nora Wexley.
No, wasn't there a comic too?
Her parents were. I mean, her parents were at the Battle of Endor. I believe
his parents. Poe's parents.
Yeah, I believe his dad was a rebel trooper.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, so he has like a
his mom goes on a little
background history type of thing.
Yeah, and I think his mom goes on Shara Bay goes on a little adventure with Luke.
Luke.
They go to steal the tree from the
that's right.
Jedi
that's
Temple.
That's what I'm I have that comic somewhere.
Yeah,
actually. But yeah, so
isn't that like Star Wars #1 or something from the?
No. It was like I think it was like a lead up comic to Last Jedi.
Okay.
I think I could be wrong, or it was like something after post Force Awakens. It was like connected to Force Awakens or Last Jedi movie. I think if I'm remembering correctly, which I may not be.
But anyways, my big problem, I don't like the Star Fortresses. I think it sets up drama, and I think it does a great way to set up drama around Paige Tico.
Sure.
I just don't like him, and while I agree with your World War II comment,
she's a hero.
That's a real hero right there.
While I agree with your World War II comment, the fact of the matter is, the Y-wings were supposed to be that, right? In the first place.
But don't Y-wings suck?
No, Y-wings are fucking...
Oh, no, we just lost a viewer or a listener, I think.
Despite the fact that I did, in fact, make that sign. You did. I brought it to...
I got a photo of that somewhere.
The Y-wing is one of my all-time favorite ships.
It's a great ship. I love that ship,
It's a cool fucking ship. And maybe that's what it is. Maybe I just wanted Y-wings in this movie.
That's fair.
They couldn't afford Y-wings. They're scrappy bunch.
They have them.
They don't got them.
Anyways, Frank, where are we at?
So then we have that opening sequence, that battle and whatnot, and then we go over to Ahch-To with Rey and Luke, and everyone's was talking about this moment where Luke takes the lightsaber.
What's Luke gonna say?
What's he gonna say? He's gonna say anything. He's gonna toss that lightsaber. And was it unexpected when I first saw this in the theater? 1000%. Never would have thought that action would have been taken by Luke Skywalker. It just goes to show you, I didn't really think about what kind of character are we going to meet on this island. I didn't really put a whole lot of thought into that, what kind of character we're going to get, because, or I guess I should say, I didn't think we would get this version of Luke just because I couldn't envision that type of character for Luke. And this motion of Luke tossing that lightsaber is a clear indication this is not, Luke Skywalker of yesteryear. So I don't know what you guys think about.
I want to know, what's your first gut feeling on it?
I was like, wait, why?
Okay.
100% my
Confusion.
gut reaction was like, wait, what is going on? Why? And it was kind of funny a little bit, just because it was so unexpected in that way. But I was just like, wait, why?
So for me, and I think this is pretty indicative of the anti-Last Jedi people.
Yeah.
For me, that lost me. Like right away, right? Not because I thought it was trying to... I don't think immediately in that moment, on my first watch, it didn't signal a character choice to me. It signaled a gag. Like it signaled like, this is supposed to be funny, right? It's supposed to be shocking. It's supposed to be unexpected. I have very much warmed up on that scene for me. And I do think we're going to talk about another part 2 of that scene next week.
Okay. Yes.
But I very much warmed up on that moment. And I think it really works for me now in a way that on my first few viewings,
Like I said, the movie it challenges you.
it challenges you. I
you.
think you are totally right about that. And that's why I want to be very open about like the things I was negative about when I saw this movie because I know so much of the audience is negative about this movie, right? But then you also have some of the audience that act like this is the best thing ever.
Sure.
And I don't think either of those are correct, right?
Well, you don't hold that opinion.
I don't.
Whether or not that's correct or not in terms of that's it's nebulous. But
I think that's a whole other conversation. I will say empirically, I don't think that is correct. I'm not saying I don't hold that opinion. I'm saying I don't think that's correct. Period.
Okay.
It's not the best or the worst Star Wars movie empirically.
I don't think it's the best, but I think it's one of the best.
I think that is a more fair statement. I don't think I can give an empirical response to that.
Can I kind of take a cheap way out and say it's one of the most important? Star Wars doesn't necessarily. I think it's the best, and I don't think it's the worst.
They're all important.
But I think it's one of the most important.
I
Star
can't
Wars.
imagine like ranking this as like your worst Star Wars.
No,
people,
I can't.
People can.
I've seen it's a trend
I'm
on
sure
Twitter
people
right
do.
now. It's recircled again.
I'm sure people do.
I actually
This
did
is not. But it's in the bottom. It's in the bottom half for me.
but it's not the last.
But it's definitely not the last.
It's the Last Jedi, but it's not the last.
yeah,
right.
It's are we counting saga? Are we counting non-saga films?
Yeah.
Are we counting Ewok movies?
No, because I've never seen them, so I can't.
It's in the bottom half for me.
I feel like
but it's the top of the bottom half.
Listen. I'm with you. No Star Wars movie is a bad Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
But like, and I love.
Well, hold on. No, I don't. That's not my stance.
No, but
there
like,
are Star Wars movies that are bad Star Wars
okay,
movies.
but like, you know what I mean? Like, they're still good. Even the worst one is enjoyable.
I find joy in watching the worst one because it is a Star Wars movie.
Yes.
Okay.
So I feel
Yeah.
I feel similar.
We're on the same page. Yeah.
Yeah.
So like for
Just
me,
different words.
Yeah. I'm thinking like, how could you have this like below Attack of the Clones? You know what I mean?
I do.
But like,
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we might have to do another.
because if you're 8 minutes,
We might have to do
sorry.
another episode where we rank.
because I legitimately love Attack of the
But
Clones.
this
We're gonna have to do
this
another episode
movie,
where we rank all these.
Yeah.
movies,
Luke kind of like references those 8 minutes in a metaphorical sense about their
does
failure.
in a great. Let's get there.
It's a
Let's
great-
get
I do
there.
love
But
that.
before that,
Yeah. I want to know what your
what
take
did you
on
think about the
saber toss.
Flippity flap.
The flippity flap.
The flippity flip.
Just like that scene in the Office. Me and my coworkers reference this all the time now, where Michael Scott tries to shoot the basketball behind his back, and I'll catch you guys on the flippity flip. What if Luke Skywalker said that? He looked at Ray and he goes, "Well, I guess I'll be catching you on the flippity flip."
It reminds me of maybe it's because I played Mario Kart on Wednesday. But it reminds me of
He played Mario Kart on Wednesday.
It reminds me of a Mario. Well, I went to the concert. There was a bar.
Yeah, he played Mario Kart.
Anyways,
Wow! Instead of filming,
hey, you weren't here either.
I was moving.
Who moves in the middle of the week, in the middle
Who
of the
moves
month?
on a Wednesday?
Anyways,
Me.
what did you think?
It reminded me of Mario Kart driver throwing a banana peel behind him.
It's definitely unexpected. I remember my theater giving a laugh. Like
Oh, yeah, I think mine did too.
they all
mine-
laughed
so did
for
mine.
sure.
Yeah.
I didn't.
No, I was like, okay, that's a choice. Let's see where this goes. You know, I think I would have done it differently. Maybe he just kind of like hands it back to Ray and then walks
Or doesn't
away.
take it.
Doesn't
Just
even
turns
take it,
around.
Yeah,
Right?
I do like the shot of him like holding it with his like metallic hand, which for some reason
It is such a good shot.
Oh, man.
Which
yeah.
what I'm trying to wrap my head around in Empire Strikes Back, he gets a robot hand that looks just like a regular hand because like
Right.
technology and
Yeah.
by the time of episode 5 is more advanced than when like Anakin got his robot arm, right?
Yeah.
You see, but then in this movie, it's like back to being all like clankety clank.
because if you remember,
You got
on
shot in the
Jabba's
hand.
sail barge, he gets shot
And
in
they
the
got
hand.
exposed.
Yeah.
And then we have exposed wiring. So most likely, over the course of time, the
just
skin.
eroded.
but I mean,
We're
like
talking about like 30 years.
how
man.
many-
because
Yeah.
under the synth, so that's called synth skin. It is fake skin.
synthetic skin. Just for anyone out there.
And under that, it's identical to It's the same technology as Anakin's hand.
Yeah, but like, you know, how many years?
So would you say this is part of the world building that you appreciated about Luke's hand?
Yeah,
he was walking around the galaxy as a legend.
But that world building comes from Force Awakens because we see the shot of Luke's metal hand touching.
Oh, that's actually true. That's true.
Counterpoint.
Yeah, actually, yeah. Never mind. I tried to get one for us, guys. I tried to get one.
Remember, I've seen these movies a lot.
He was walking around the galaxy as a legend. Okay, so like, he didn't have a hand guy. You know what I mean? To go to be like, hey, give me
He doesn't need it.
Give me the synth skin.
He doesn't
He doesn't care.
He's already defeated Vader. He doesn't.
I would like a fresh hand. That's all I'm saying.
And he's been on this island for like.
Also, it's
7
just
years.
badass. Like,
Yeah, it
let's
looks
be
cool,
real. Like, it's
Brandon.
badass.
I suppose. I don't know. I'd like my hand. Which, speaking of which, that's a sandwich place. Which, you ever been there? Anyways, I thought it was interesting that like he didn't care more about the lightsaber, because not that it's like the family legacy saber, but
it is.
But 100%,
but it is.
yeah.
But like, I feel like when he looked at it, there was some part of him that go, last time I saw this, my hand was attached to it.
Where did
Where did you get this?
Yeah,
He spoke for all of us. He spoke for all of us.
Did you pick this off the floor at Cloud City? I didn't know Cloud City had a floor.
So there's I tried to find this book.
Do we know where?
So I actually want to. So
That's
in
a great
canon-
story for another time.
In actual canon,
Still waiting.
I think there is like a comic.
There's an answer now.
Or something. There is an answer. I think,
Is
but
there? 'Cause
pre Disney, I had this one book. It was like it had a bunch of like different short stories, and it had this one story about where Darth Vader sent like a garrison, or whatever, to go retrieve that lightsaber that at the bottom of Bespin.
I killed a lot of kids with that. You better return it.
And
That
so
is very special to me.
because and then there was also, I think, there's like some report or leak or whatever, a theory that when the second Death Star exploded, that lightsaber and Luke's hand was on the second Death Star. And when it exploded, like that's how the Force Awakens was going to open, was Luke's hand
that was. Well, I think that
attached
was
to the lightsaber or something
that
like
was
that.
kind of
remember?
that was the rumor, was that's how Force Awakens was supposed to open.
Something like, yeah, I remember
Yeah.
that.
I would have
So
hated that.
I'd be curious to see it, like a storyboard, just to see more fleshed out idea. No pun intended.
It's another Spaceballs thing to me. Like we were watching some of
The
Last Jedi before we started, and there's a Spaceballs moment that I don't dislike.
iron.
I actually think it's clever, but
It's just fun stuff.
But-
it's the iron. Okay, people.
This
It's
is yeah. But
it's fun.
This is my headcanon for the lightsaber, because we know Maz gets the
Your
lightsaber.
headcanon.
What did I say?
Headcanon.
I said headcanon.
Headcanon.
Right?
No, it's headcanon.
Headcanon.
Headcanon?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Headcanon jars?
You would know.
You'd know if you'd seen Rebels.
Head Caleb Doom. Caleb Doom. What's his name?
Caleb.
Caleb Doom.
Caleb, it's a normal Earth name. Caleb. Like Luke or Ben
Yeah.
or Han.
Orlando
Yeah, Orlando.
Orlando Jones.
or Darth.
No, Darth is not a real.
No, it is. I know a kid named Darth.
No, you don't. I mean, okay, you might, because his parents were like, "I'm gonna give him. I'm gonna name him
at
after
this stage
Star
in our
Wars."
Could you imagine
generation,
what
yeah.
if they named him after the first movie came out? Because at that point, it was a first name. Before George Lucas made it into a title. So how pissed would those
Oh
parents
my
be?
God. I would
Where they
sue.
go,
I would
what do you
sue.
mean it's a title and it's not a first
I
name?
still love that Obi-Wan calls him Darth.
Oh, it's great. All right, so what's your head?
This is my head canon. We know that Maz gets the lightsaber and Palpatine gets the hand. That's like in one of the comics. The hand is like being experimented on Exegol, right? So I imagine they get there at the same time to wherever it landed in Cloud City, and they just kind of look at each other and like maybe like one of them picks up the hand and the lightsaber, and like maybe, and then Maz goes, "Can I get that hand? Can I get that lightsaber?" He's like, "Yeah, I only want the hand."
Okay.
they just like kind of
You
go
have
their separate
weird
ways.
headcanon, man.
You know, they
Yeah.
get the yeah, that's funny. Or like maybe it's the other way around, where like she's like pulls the hand off the lightsaber and goes, "Ew," and then Palpatine goes, "I'll take that."
I think this is just an excuse for you to do your Palpatine impression.
What?
Yeah.
Do you think they ever met Maz and Palpatine?
No.
No,
I don't.
Do you think he's as generous of a lover as
my God.
the master code breaker?
Oh, we should look up there, Sean. We should look up there.
I'm trying to see if I can find an answer for how Maz gets.
Oh, okay.
He's
well,
a
I'm not
poet
really
with a
too. I'm
blaster,
not really
you
too
know.
concerned about it right
We'll
now,
do it,
but
you
I
know
would
what?
love to see.
We're gonna do
yeah.
a full special report on that
Breaking news.
at a later date.
Do you believe Justin Theroux could be a poet with a blaster?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
That didn't strike me as a guy who would be able to sneak on to Snoke's ship. I don't know.
We never got to see it happen.
Agree to disagree.
You think
Because James Bond would look that good.
And James Bond
poker,
could do it,
right?
I mean,
James
yeah.
Bond, you know.
Sure. Why not?
I mean,
He's
he
a
is,
James- I think
he
he's
is
a
more
James-
dressed like Indiana Jones in the Temple of Doom.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair.
Okay, so
But it's Star Wars.
Could Indiana Jones get on that ship?
No ticket.
No ticket.
okay, so we've figured that out. So let's. Do you want to get into the Luke Ray?
Yeah, let's
Stuff.
just break that down.
Yeah, because again, it's just starting off with Luke tossing a lightsaber, and first of all, also the Porg on the lightsaber. I get a kick out of it.
I love that shot.
It's so funny.
I
to
love
me.
that shot now. I didn't like it the first time I saw it. But you know what? The second, third, and fourth, I went,
It's
yeah,
fine.
okay.
It's
okay.
I have a
It's
hoodie
great.
with that
Do you really?
shot on it.
That's
It's
good.
Yeah.
really good.
My buddy, a friend of mine, Zach, has 2 pork tattoos
Oh wow!
on both of his
Is
calves.
Chewie eating one of them?
No, he's got just porgs.
So he could like
Are they? Is it like a happy porg or like the porg with tears?
One of them is a porg dressed like Porkins. So it's porg
Porkins, yeah, that's good.
And I think the other one's just a pork.
Just a porg.
and so he could put his calves together and make them kiss.
Yeah. I know how much you want to see porgs.
Wow.
You know,
some people pay a lot of money
Brandon,
for that.
Brandon and I weren't here for the Bad Batch episode where you did the Q&A.
Yeah.
And the answer to the question is porg nudity would really elevate.
That's funny. That's funny.
I have a philosophical question. So
Okay, sure.
Chewie cooks the pork, right? He has it
Yeah,
in his hand. He's about to eat it, and all the porgs are looking at him like sad, you know, because
Yeah.
he just murdered a friend of theirs. What's more ethical? Should Chewie not eat it because then he's like consuming this thing that clearly like has friends that have like feelings? Or should he eat it because now that thing died for no reason, you know? But if he eats it, it at least served a purpose in death.
Chewie
should eat it.
Chewie absolutely ate that fucking
You
pork.
think so?
Hell yeah. Hell
When the
yeah.
camera panned away, he ate it.
Absolutely.
And that was the right
Don't
thing
waste
to do.
food.
Yeah, Chewie doesn't waste food.
Yeah, because like,
Always think with the stomach.
Okay.
'Cause is
This
it
is
wasteful or
Chewbacca.
not?
Chewbacca is a Wookiee from the planet Kashyyyk.
and Wookiees rip people's arms out of their sockets when they lose.
That's right.
But do they eat the arms? Is it wasteful if they don't eat the arms?
How do you know, we didn't talk about this last episode. I just want to real quick touch it. Do you know about the deleted scene with Chewbacca ripping off Unkar Plot's arms?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I forgot about
How do you
that.
feel about that?
That's cool.
I love it.
That's cool.
That's mine. Wait,
That's my arm.
mine.
Okay, so Luke then goes to the hut. Rey's knocking on the hut. Luke's yelling, "Go away!"
Chewie busts in.
And then we have Chewie rip the door off and just roar at him.
And
Yeah,
apparently
that's
that
great.
door is made out of a piece of the X-wing that Rey somehow flies in the next movie.
You're right. Yes.
What's that about?
You know,
One of the things I loathe about that movie. But
anyways,
Anyway,
we're not
that's
there
next
yet.
week.
That's next week. Yeah, and
could you drive a car that's been underwater for like 10 years? And then you ripped one of the doors off, but it needs to be vacuum
well,
sealed
hold
because you're
on.
in space.
Yeah. Hold on. It's to be clear. I don't think it's a door. It's one of the wings.
oh yeah, that's not important.
But
It is one of the wings. So I think the ship is still vacuum sealed.
Okay.
I do think an X-wing would survive underwater for 10 years and be fine.
You know what?
But
I
it is
think
still
it should
missing
because
a
it's
wing.
fantasy. Why not? It can survive 100 years underwater. It's a fantasy story. This ship doesn't actually fly in atmosphere. It can't. It's fantasy.
Actually,
Who
yes,
cares?
they actually.
I guess they.
But I guess-
X-wings
Yeah.
are quite effective in atmosphere, as seen by Rogue One.
No. I'm talking about like real world application, like our world. Like you can't. You know that ship would not fly in the real world.
Well, it could.
It's just falling with style. Okay.
We haven't invented Incom engine technology yet.
All right. Jesus Christ.
No, he's not a Star Wars character. He looks a lot like Obi-Wan Kenobi, though.
Shoot me. Shoot me now.
But yes, Luke and Rey. I like it.
And I love Luke's reaction to where's Han?
Yeah.
That is such a good shot.
It is
it's such a good moment.
That's a very important moment because it really does, in hindsight, after you've seen the movie at least for the first time, that's a very important to knowing that Luke had closed himself off from the Force. Rian Johnson had to explain why Luke Skywalker wasn't there for Han, wasn't there for Leia, wasn't there for the Resistance, and this is part of the reason is because he shut himself off from the Force. He couldn't feel Han, he couldn't sense Han, he couldn't sense Leia.
So I love the concept of Luke shutting himself off like that. I think it is so clever, it's so interesting. I love Luke's lessons to Rey, whether or not it's what Rey's there to learn, whether or not it's what we wanted Rey to learn, and whether or not we think the Jedi are, some force of good or some force of bad. You pointed out that like my point about those 8 minutes is very much what Luke is talking about. Right?
Yeah,
and I love all of Luke's lessons with this, and I love Rey's persistence.
Yeah, because she's trying to hold on to the most important ideals of like the most ideal version of the Jedi, where Luke is like, yeah, but that's not what it became, and that's not what it was. That's not how they were able to, because of their hubris, they weren't able to sustain the order. And
but I also think it just shows that, like, as a character, she sees this as her purpose, right?
Yeah, totally.
And so I think that a lot of people had a lot of problems with Rey in the first film, and I think that with the whole the Mary Sue crap, I think this does a lot to prove that no, she is trying to work on this and better herself
because she still
and earn it.
Yeah, she only knows the Jedi as a myth, as like this powerful, all force of good, whereas Luke has to like actually let me tell you what really happened here. Yeah. And it's in juxtaposition to his own myth as well as like, okay, well, actually, here's the real story. Here's what really happened, So I think, again, having to have this explanation of his reaction to Han, and then his shot in the Millennium Falcon was really cool. But it was it's heartbreaking to watch Luke realize Han is dead, and I wasn't there for him.
You weren't there, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I really...
And especially because there's most likely a scene off camera where someone had to explain to Han, or to Luke, that Kylo killed him.
Yes.
Right? Because we cut away.
That's right. We don't
come back.
We never see that information relayed to him.
Which means either Chewbacca or Rey had to explain.
This is probably Rey, right? So.
Well, I mean, Luke can understand Chewie.
That's true too.
I actually think it'd probably be Chewbacca. I think Luke would have.
Can Luke understand Chewie? Because there is one moment.
That's right.
I feel like by now.
There's one moment in this movie. I don't know if it's just Rey assuming, but she does translate what Chewie says to Luke in one.
Yeah, but I thought Luke kind of acts like he understands.
Yeah.
And Rey's. Like, I think Rey is just like. Yeah, I think you're right. I think it's Rey assuming she's got to translate Shri.
Probably. Yeah.
Yeah, but I love the lessons also. Luke clearly watched the prequels. Okay,
He
did.
He saw like
he's heard the tale of Darth Plagueis the Wise.
He watched. He paid attention. Okay, he's like, yeah, the Jedi failed. Like they were wrong. And
Mark Hamill's favorite Star Wars movie and Luke Skywalker's favorite Star Wars movie is Attack of the Clones.
Yeah,
really.
Yeah, I talked to him. I asked him.
That's nice.
His specifically the 8 minutes. Yeah. I really like that Luke seemed to learn this lesson that like Yoda and Obi-Wan, as much as I love those characters, like they're lessons that they should have learned by the original trilogy and they didn't. Like they're still teaching Luke these values of the Jedi that
are flawed,
that are very flawed. They're lessons they should have learned, and Luke is finally like addressing those because he had the hubris to think that he can also make the Jedi Order not fall into those same traps.
Sure.
And then he learned the hard way himself, and then he said, okay, yeah,
which is something we see in the Book of Boba Fett, like where he's making Yoda make this choice, or Grogu.
Yeah.
He's making Grogu make this choice, right? Yoda's lightsaber or your found family. And like, to me, that's the flaw of the Jedi, right? If you don't have, And I'm not saying, I do think there's some value in that Jedi teaching, and it comes from Eastern philosophy, real world Eastern philosophy, and I think that's interesting. But like, it shows that Luke is still adherent to those flawed strictures.
And he makes good points to say that if the Jedi die, the light dies is vanity. There will always be the light and the dark.
It's his first lesson to Rey.
Yeah, the Jedi are just a group of people. They're just a religion.
Yeah, someone else.
They are not the light side of the Force.
The Force will always be here. Whether or not you are here or not, the Force is
Well, he
here.
also knows that Ahsoka and Ezra have started their own order with blackjack and hookers.
Oh. I heard they disagreed on the blackjack. They wanted craps, but I think that's what drove them apart.
Yeah.
Or Palm
ultimately.
Bloom.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, and we hear Luke say Darth Sidious.
I was gonna say,
Yeah,
that
that was
just
cool.
like that
pretty
stuff
cool.
just blew my mind.
Which was that the
because-
first time it's uttered?
100%, yeah.
Outside of the
No,
prequels?
Yeah.
Dooku says it at some
Well,
point.
Dooku says it in Attack of the Clones.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, outside of the prequels,
Outside of the prequels.
you know, I mean, there's Sidious, that name's never mentioned in the original, obviously, and then it's never mentioned in Force Awakens. And it's, I don't.
How
Yeah,
did Luke find that out? Was he just like talking to Ghost Yoda?
Well,
one
okay,
day?
so Luke,
Darth Sidious, he calls
do know-
himself.
we do know some of what happened to Luke between Jedi and this point, and Luke went to go do his research.
yeah, with
Like-
with Lando, right? Was it? They
Him
were all
and-
the
him and-
other little
Him and Lando, and
bunkers
him
and
and Lor Santeca,
yeah.
and him and Shara Bay, and him and one of the members of Inferno Squadron. Like he's done his research.
How did he become close enough friends with Lor Santeca to start going on
I
adventures with
don't
him?
know, and I want to know.
Yeah,
How did this guy weasel his way into that friend group? That's a tight group.
I will say there is a Battlefront tie-in with the compass. You
Yeah.
can see in Battlefront, and
It's
you
in
see
this
it,
movie,
and you
yeah.
see it in his one of his huts.
Yeah,
Yeah, which was cool to see. I was like, oh. I was like one of the
the compass, yeah.
two people in the theater that
And-
recognized
I know,
it.
yeah.
I was like, oh, and they're like, what? I was like,
the compass.
the compass.
What compass? What
Yeah.
the fuck are you talking about?
Exactly. Yeah.
the dice. It's the same thing. They made the dice
Oh,
important
yeah.
all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was
the
like,
dice
what-
were never important.
I don't mind, but yeah.
Yeah.
I know it was really. I was like, okay.
We're gonna talk about Solo at some point.
Yeah, we will.
I'm curious on the group stance
Yeah.
on Solo.
I like the Darth Sidious callback and all of that, and I do like the line where Luke basically foreshadows the end of the movie, where he says,
Oh my gosh,
what do you
yes.
think I'm gonna like take on the whole
Yeah.
First Order with my laser sword?"
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, it was great, and it's like
Yeah.
every time I watched the movie, and I'm like, yes,
Yes.
yes. Do
That's
that.
exactly what you're gonna do.
exactly.
In a way.
Yeah, yeah.
in a
So this
way.
will go the way I think it will now.
So ultimately, Rey learns her lesson. Are we talking about the Force Skype, or do we talk about that as a separate thing?
Oh no, we'll talk about it. Yeah, Octo as a whole. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
How do you feel about the Force Skype?
I effing love this
Okay.
new aspect introduced because, and again, when I
So,
walked away from the
I would
theater,
argue it's not a new aspect introduced.
well, true, but in terms of the movies, right,
Mm-hmm.
on a mainstream level, this was something we had never seen this on screen in a movie, right? Because we never had
Are you sure?
the touching of the hands and stuff,
Well, okay.
like talking through, like communicating
So
that
I
way.
think-
I mean, yes, Luke and Leia, like that, sure.
And
In Empire.
Empire does it twice. Luke and Vader as well.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's
Father.
right. Yeah.
So in my opinion, what we see in this film is not much different from those iterations. Yes, there is that step forward of the physical contact, but we also find out later that that's being facilitated.
So actually, I'll give you my interpretation of those moments that you're referring to from the original trilogy. I interpret them more as like feelings, and not necessarily like or like a sense. Like you could sense the presence, which Luke does talk about or mentions in Return of the Jedi.
Return, yeah.
Right. So when Luke is like Father, and I feel like he's sensing they're not having a converse. I didn't interpret it as a back and forth between Luke and Vader, or between Luke and Leia. I didn't see it as a communication that way.
Okay.
More a sense of like, I can sense you.
I
Can
think-
you sense me? Yes. You're saying it because it's a movie, but I took it more as a sense as
Okay.
opposed to where this is with Kylo and Rey as a conversation.
So personally, I disagree with that. I don't think you're like crazy for thinking that. I disagree with it, but I think that it's the fact that that Rey and Kylo have this connection that Luke didn't have with Leia or Vader, which is what makes it so much stronger for them and able to have that full open conversation. And I think it's super interesting.
Yeah.
I think it's weird. I think it's done. I think it solves a problem that a lot of stories, not just movies, but stories in general have, where how do you get your villain and your hero to interact?
Yeah.
Right? You want your villain and hero to
Without
interact.
it being such a physical confrontation.
Right. You want them to interact. You want them to have a relationship and be able to play off each other. And this does such an interesting job of solving it. You know, did we need a shirtless Kylo scene?
Yes.
Okay, there we go.
Why not? They gave us shirtless Anakin, bro.
I know. It just
Come on.
for me.
Something for the ladies.
I don't hate it.
and the men, I guess, you know.
I don't hate it at all. I just think it feels like out of place.
It's
in the
just
rest of
become
the
so
movie.
memeified now,
And
which
it's
is great.
so memeable.
It's so
Yeah,
great, though.
yeah,
Memes are funny.
It's like, can you wear a collar or something?
Yeah.
Right.
No.
Daisy Ridley. Can you put on like a, what does she say?
Cowl.
Cowl. Yeah.
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 But I really like the Force Skype. I do think it's interesting if this movie came out today, it'd probably be called like Force Zoom.
Force
Yeah, you're
yard?
right.
Force
You're
yard?
right.
Force Yard.
Well, Force time.
Force time. Yes. Force. Duh. There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
But yeah, and I do, not to like touch on it too much, but I do love the way that they build off of it in the Rise of
Totally.
Skywalker.
Yeah,
Totally.
they do very well with that. And it's-
I mean, it's one of the. When I left the theater, this was my favorite aspect of the movie.
I have my own personal issues with how it's done in Rise of Skywalker, but I will say as an evolution of what's done in this movie, it is done very well.
Yeah.
I don't like it as a concept as a whole. But the other thing I wanted to say was this is no different from, so whether we're talking about Empire or not, Rebels.
Oh, with like Ezra and Yoda.
Yeah, Ezra and
Oh,
Yoda
yeah,
have a
that's true.
full-on fucking
Yeah, yeah,
conversation through the Force.
I mean, that was through like the temple.
It was aided by the temple,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
again, the fact that Rey and Kylo have this bond.
So this capability
that's also
yeah,
being
yeah, sure.
that Rey and Kylo
Yeah.
have this bond that's also being facilitated by Palpatine ultimately.
Snow.
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah, we gotta talk about that too.
The other thing is that the Shadow of the Sith, is that the
Yeah.
book that you didn't read that I keep telling you to read?
Correct. I do have the audiobook on my phone.
Shadow of the Sith
Shadows of
does
the Sith,
also have. We'll get into this later, but Shadow of the Sith has Luke doing force projection, basically, unintentionally,
Oh, interesting.
but basically force projection. So there's and I would argue that the Force Skype is another parallel to force projection.
I think
Sure.
they're the same type
Sure.
of power, whereas like Luke was able to take it a step further.
A step further, absolutely.
Because instead of showing himself to Kylo as he was able to create an image.
Well, and these three movies do an interesting thing with the Force where I think Luke is probably not even aware that he can use the Force to interact with objects in that way. And
Besides sitting down.
well, that's a whole conversation. That's a thing.
Does he not touch Leia?
I
think he touches her.
Yeah, the hand on the hands. Yeah, they hold hands.
And he gives her the dice.
Yeah.
Dice. Yeah,
Okay.
that's a
good
transference
point.
of physical object.
Yeah, which is what. But the dice disappear at the end.
Oh, that's right. They
they
do
do.
disappear. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right.
The other thing as well is because we also know the dice are on the Falcon. Period.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
We also see like Luke doesn't know that a Force ghost can call down fucking lightning, right? Like that's why he has no evidence for that.
Yeah.
So this movie does an interesting thing to show that like, hey, there's still much to learn.
Yeah.
For
Totally.
all of these
The
characters.
scene with Yoda is so good.
It's so good, and he looks amazing.
He does. Before we get there, I do want to get to the fight between Rey and Luke, because that's really interesting. That's where Luke reopens himself to the Force again, which is such a pivotal part in his arc as a character in this story and his story as a whole, really. And it's because of Rey mostly, right? From what Luke has learned through Rey and talking these things out about what happens with Kylo and his temple and that night, and which is interesting that you do get these two different sides of the story.
Yeah,
you know,
I love
between
that.
what happens, Kylo's point of view, and you're like, damn, I can see exactly what Kylo is seeing, but he only sees it that way because Luke mentions that Snoke had already gotten to Kylo.
Yeah, we
He
still
already
don't
got
really
to Ben.
know.
Yeah, we don't know
we
exactly
still
what that
don't really
means,
know
but
what that means.
he's like, he had already twisted his mind. So when Kylo or Ben looks up and sees Luke like that, whatever Snoke has been telling Ben has now come to fruition right in front of him, and that's why Ben lashes out, or the way that he does. If not for that, then maybe, first of all, Luke maybe doesn't have these visions of Ben doing whatever he's going to do. Ben doesn't react the way that he does to Luke. So there's you could do a whole bunch of what ifs and cross wires and whatnot. But it's such a interesting way of telling or drawing out this story, step by step. Of here's what Luke tells Rey, and then here's what Kylo tells Rey, and then Luke's like, okay, here's what happened on my part. He owns up to, he thought, for a split second, I can squash this darkness right here, but then in a moment is what, I got lost for a moment, and it cost me everything.
Yeah.
And it's such a defeating moment for Luke Skywalker, this hero.
Well, and it's ultimately what he's always been afraid of, is becoming like his father, right? Like, while his father was redeemed, his father fell to the dark side and did a lot of evil shit.
Oh, yeah.
And we did see him ignite the green, so...
We did?
Yeah, that's fair. And it looks so good.
It looks cool. It looks cool.
It looks so good.
It's not the way you wanted it.
Not the way we wanted it, but you know what? It works. How do you feel about the Force? Okay, there's one scene I want to talk about, actually, before we... There's the scene that, to me, I hated when I first saw it. I like it a little better now. But when Luke's doing the guided meditation with Rey...
Sure, yeah.
And they, zoom through the ground and all that
Where she
stuff.
sticks out her hand first. You talking about that part?
Oh, no, that's fucking hilarious.
You know what? I'm a little like...
That's fucking hilarious.
I'm a little...
reach out.
He must be really strong with you.
Honestly,
I love that.
I will tell you...
That's Yoda shit.
It definitely is Yoda, but what I'll say about it is I felt like... It felt like... just like an outtake left in.
No,
that's how it felt to me, and still kind of feels. I don't care, and I understand. I do like there's some jokiness that happens, but it's really actually this particular sequence too, because people do talk about this part where Rey is like, we need Luke Skywalker to come back to the Resistance, blah blah blah, and there's such like.
I thought you're the one that did.
That was a good impression. Because Kylo Ren is strong in the dark side of the Force.
You can't. The trick is you don't impersonate Rey. You impersonate the person who impersonates Rey in Lego Star Wars. That's what you do. And so, anyways,
I think it's James Arnold Taylor.
The way she delivers those lines, I'm like. Doesn't really. It's just so
it's
dialed. Just let me get these words out because it's a bunch.
You might be
of,
surprised to know that every Star Wars character is voiced by D. Bradley Baker.
It's what it is. It's have you seen the conversation Harrison or Harrison and Han have talked, or Harrison?
Yeah, Harrison and Han.
Harrison
what a combo!
And Hamill have talked about how. There was some lines about how the Andrades cluster and you can't. You can write
There's
it, but you can write this shit. But is it Carrie? Okay, yeah, you can write this, but you can't say it.
Yeah,
it very much.
That line is that, so it is forgivable, but it stands out to me.
Yeah,
not as much as when I watched it recently, but I was just like,
It has a prequel feel to it. It has an Attack of the Clones feel to it.
Which line?
Where she's like, when she first talks to Luke out on the
when she's like, because Kylo Ren is strong in the dark side of the Force.
Yeah,
it's a little
Well, but it also shows her naivete.
Sure, and
right?
Definitely. I think you could definitely look at it that way, and I would agree.
There's a few lines like that in this movie.
Because I think, like I said, I think this movie does a lot to.
It's like a sales pitch to Luke of
sure, but I also think this movie does a lot to show that. Rey is not quite a Mary Sue. She doesn't know everything. She's not, I think this movie does that well too. And it shows she's super naive because even up till the end, she is.
Oh, 100%. She's
you
so
know.
idealistic. It's like,
Right.
we're the good guys. We have to win. We're the good guys, you know?
Because she grew up in the shadow of the rebellion's second greatest victory or third greatest victory,
Yeah.
I guess. You know, like she grew up with putting on that helmet and pretending to be a fucking
100%.
fighter pilot, right? Like that's what she.
She
you know,
idolized that movement.
She idolized
yeah.
the heroism of the rebellion.
Yeah.
So of course she thinks that Luke is this rebel hero. And he is, but he's also not. He's also so much more than that.
But I do love that aspect of it, like where he's saying like you don't need Luke Skywalker, and like him kind of like alluding to the fact that like he's not the legend and the galaxy doesn't need him. But then at the end, that's part of his lesson. He learns that's exactly what the galaxy needs.
Right.
Yeah.
And he inspires hope.
So the scene I was talking about is not the palm frond.
Okay.
I like that scene.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
shocked that you have reservations with it.
I don't hate it, but I'm just like,
Yeah, I
well,
get it.
you know.
Okay. I'm talking about the scene where they show like the plants growing and the like dead carcass underground. It feels so off to me.
I don't
A
mind.
little
it.
planet Earth.
You know, yeah, it felt like a
time lapse
documentary.
planet Earth, but
Yeah.
like I do like what it was conveying.
I like what's being said.
Yeah.
I love what's being said. I just wish there was something else visually going on. other
Again,
than
it's
that.
like the modern filmmaking techniques brought into it
that I don't think work for me. In that
Yeah.
scene in particular,
Yeah.
it does not work for me.
Yeah. That's fair, I guess. But yeah, like overall, I appreciate what they're trying to demonstrate,
Especially
with the Force,
especially because we get a lot of line speeches like that in other films, and we just get to see the actors talk it.
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
think that's fine. I don't think we needed something
That's
more
true.
than that. You know, and I'm not trying to nitpick that scene, but it's one that has always stuck out to me as like it feels so off to me. I like it. I just don't know that I like it in this film.
Sure.
You know, but I want to talk a couple of things I want to talk about with Octo.
Well, I mean, I think real quick, just to touch on this point about the movie is everyone will say it's a well-made movie.
It's a beautiful,
Beautifully
fucking movie.
made, shot, directed, which can be, I guess, debatable between some factions of the fandom out there. But it's one of the most gorgeous looking movies in general. Definitely a Star Wars movie. I don't think a Star Wars movie has really looked better or shot better than this one was. But it goes to that point of like just filmmaking techniques again, how shot the opening and the World War II feel and the bombers and all the techniques. And yeah, it's Rian Johnson definitely made his mark and stamp on it and in his style.
And I would love to see him work on a non-saga film where he has more control. I would love that. I just don't necessarily like everything he did with this movie.
Sure.
The last couple things I want to touch on for Octo, and then we're going to get to the caretakers. Fucking cool.
Yeah, there's stuff. Yeah.
That one temple room up at the top. Mm-hmm. I love the design of that. I love the little like inch of water.
Oh yeah,
with
yeah,
the vibrations. Mm-hmm. I love the mosaic mural of this like sitting monk with the yin yang in there. Their attention to design with Octo is brilliant, right? And the porgs are cool. It makes sense. You know why the porgs are there?
Because of the
Because of all
birds.
the birds.
Because there are a bunch of birds on the island, and they're like, "We're gonna."
And they're in The Force Awakens, all those birds.
Yeah.
They
Yeah,
that's right.
disappeared and were replaced with porks.
JJ was
Yeah.
like, just leave the birds in.
Come on.
Did we already talk about this? We
Yeah,
want a
a little
special
bit.
edition.
And
To,
Yeah, I'm just saying if you were to do a special edition, make them porgs in The Force Awakens. That's all I'm
Okay.
saying.
I'm down for that.
That'd be good. Yeah, that would make sense.
And I will
Would make
say,
sense.
I do think Octo is shot, but I like some of the more dramatic shots of Octo in Force Awakens that I do feel in some places are missing from this film.
Sure.
Is Luke standing in the same spot, or is it like
He
a
is.
different spot?
He is, but it's
it
such
looks
a
different.
He is, but it's a different perspective.
And I also don't trust like Rian Johnson with the continuity, and I kind of respect this honestly, where he like changed the location of the scar on Kylo Ren's face.
Yeah.
And when they interviewed him about it, he's like, "Well, that's where I wanted to put the scar because it's my movie."
Yeah, that's. I think you're getting to the heart of something that I have an issue with this movie. Is it doesn't feel like it respects. I hate to say this because this is what the fucking shitty take Last Jedi haters say, and please, I hope I'm saying enough I love about this movie to point out that like I'm not one of those people.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, it does feel like Ryan just kind of went like, who the fuck cares? Like this, like I'm making a movie for me and not the people that love this stuff. Right. And I don't think the movie needs to be made for us. Right. I don't think every Star Wars movie.
George Lucas never made him for us. He made him for him.
He made him for him. But the difference is he did care about continuity, except for a few things like years ago.
He changed whatever he wanted to change when he wanted to change it because his name is George Lucas. He created the damn thing.
Years ago, you served my father in the Clone Wars. No?
In a way.
I mean,
your father was a senator and I served the Republic.
You're connecting a lot of dots there, but okay.
Yeah, but I wanted to add on that in Ryan Johnson's defense, the scar looks cooler where he put it.
Scar looks way cooler where he put it. Yeah. But I think I guess
JJ should have put it there.
I think JJ probably wanted Kylo to look more grotesque.
Well, also, I don't think
Special edition, move the scar.
I don't think also the idea was that Kylo was going to be helmetless. So you just throw the scar there and he's going to have the helmet on, whatever. And maybe you see the scar.
Give him a reason to keep the helmet on.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
Maybe that. But that's part of the problem when you have 3-4 different people making the same trilogy and not really.
And I want to see Adam Driver act though. You know what I mean?
100%.
Sure, yeah,
100%.
But prior to Adam Driver everyone knew Adam Driver was a good actor by the time of Force Awakens.
Yeah.
But it really became more cemented as time went on with this trilogy.
And he's amazing in this movie.
He is great in this movie.
And I think he might be the best actor.
And I think he's even better in the next one.
100%. Yeah, yeah. He might be the best actor in all of Star Wars.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm agreeing with
in the
you.
movies.
I'm to me rethink that.
To me, especially from this movie,
I said he might be
because
of
his acting chops. To me, he's the most compelling villain. Like, because just the way he conveys his emotions, that line where he's like, "You're still holding on."
Oh my god,
it's so funny you say that. Delivery. It's so funny you say that because we have fucking Christopher Lee in this series. And I'm sorry, I love Christopher Lee. Kind of phones at home.
We have Dracula, and he even plays a character named Count.
Actually, you know what? I'm gonna Grand Moff Tarkin is the most compelling villain.
He's pretty good.
Van
but
Helsing
I wish we would have had more of him.
Van Helsing himself.
Yeah,
he is good. He's very good.
But we get him for he's not the main villain, and we get a lot.
Where do you like him better, in A New Hope or Rogue One?
I like him in Rogue One. We're going to talk about that when we get to Rogue One. I think it works for me.
I don't know how he acted that well. But
yeah,
man, good for him. He still got it.
Well, plastic surgery's come a long way.
It's one hell of a facelift.
This is going to be our longest episode ever.
Absolutely.
Okay, cool.
Don't care.
I don't either.
This is the longest Star Wars movie.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it is. For the quick aside, for those that don't know, we're filming this on a Friday night as opposed to our normal Wednesday night.
Yeah.
Because we specifically did not want Kevin to be here.
Yeah, no, we specifically wanted us all to be together.
Yeah. And then Kevin couldn't.
Make it.
So there it is. We tried. But hopefully next week.
I don't want to throw shade, but Brandon's currently doing a move, and Brandon found a way to make it. Kevin couldn't make it.
Well, the reason we're doing it on a Friday is because of this guy.
We shifted it to Friday.
Well, no, we were going to.
Yeah, you would have filmed it if he was there. You would have filmed it anyways. Yeah. Okay.
That's neither here nor there. Getting back to the movie.
So, but I also think it's probably better to have me, who's going to be a little more negative. I don't think Kevin would be as negative.
I don't know.
I don't either.
He can be critical.
I think he'd be a little critical.
He would be,
but he's also excited.
Yeah.
Star Wars.
Yeah. He's easily distracted.
And I don't think you're really being that negative. I think you're being very pragmatic in your...
Sure.
Kevin, if you're watching, comment below. Let us know your thoughts on The Last Jedi.
Yeah. I want a whole 7-paragraph comment. So I think we can move from...
Well, there's one last thing we could talk about Octo.
Oh, the caretakers? Is that what?
Well, there's actually two things we need to talk about for Octo. We talk about we actually talk about the Yoda scene. Because we said Yoda looks good.
Oh, that's right. We never talked. Yeah, let's talk about Yoda.
We didn't talk about the virgins.
Yes.
Yeah, Yoda's
that's right.
You're
right. You're right. Yeah.
So Yoda's definitely no. You think Yoda's a virgin?
He's very loyal to the Jedi Order.
There's nothing in the Jedi that says you can't have sex.
That's true.
But like
that's true.
It's only Yaddle.
Okay,
I think it was a very no strings attached situation.
There's like some cross species.
Time out.
There's like a workplace like power dynamic.
I want
you
to read the High Republic. because there's a lot of sex in the High Republic.
Hell yeah, I just started.
Also, where the fuck you think Grogu came from?
I don't know. You think
From Yodi.
he cannot be?
Yeah.
No,
Oh yeah.
that's not canon.
It's not canon yet.
They're gonna do it. I think they'll
No.
do it. Anyway, that's for another time. Let's not get bogged down
That's
in
like
that.
his like secret love child.
That's not
I don't think it's a secret.
He blamed it on someone else.
I don't think it's a secret.
Mari.
Can you
imagine Yoda, Yaddle, and another like
Just because
Yoda species
just
on
because-
Mari? And just
well,
like,
it could, you know what? It could be there's that other Yvonne Peel. Who's
yeah.
Who's the
that's right,
like
yeah.
Caucasian
Yeah,
flesh
yeah,
tone.
yeah.
I want to see a scene where
my
it's the
gosh.
entire Jedi Council and Grogu, newborn baby Grogu, is just sitting in the middle, and they're all trying to like be like, Yoda, what the hell? You had a kid, and he goes, not my child, that is. Like, Yoda, it looks just like you.
He doesn't have my eyes.
Yarl
It's true.
Poof had that
He does not
baby.
have my eyes.
They've all got the same wrinkles though. Well, especially because Yaddle is.
Okay. We're getting off track.
Yaddle
Let's
was a
bring it
hero.
back.
Who
Let's bring
cares?
it back.
They're gonna be watching a 3-hour episode of us.
They are not at this point.
But anyways, what were we talking? Yoda looked good.
What do you think about so before we get there, the Force Virgins
Yeah.
with the mirrors and the
Rey.
multitude of rays? That's cool.
Yeah.
It's cool. I still don't know what to
It-
really think of it.
I don't either.
listen. The
be
problem
honest.
is everything. The problem is everything I love about that scene is ruined in the Rise of Skywalker.
Sure.
because the Vision is telling her like it's just her.
Yeah.
Like stop
Yeah.
looking for your parents.
Right.
Like it's all like you are like they are not relevant to your journey.
We can probably
Right.
do like a rationalization of that, and I could definitely rationalize that on why the two can exist and it still makes sense, because the point is like it only matters her. It doesn't matter who your parents are, right?
Yeah.
Even though it's a Sith Lord,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. But yeah, I agree that I do think that's one of my issues with this sequence.
It does still hold up, but you have to reinterpret it.
You have to stretch it a little bit.
Because it's and I do like I understand like not to get too into the next movie, but like I do understand like how it's equally as interesting. Like it's you can either be just as important, like you could be a nobody, but you could be the hero of the story. You can be just as important and just as powerful as Luke Skywalker or anybody else or Obi-Wan Kenobi. Or you can come from a great evil and still be a force for good.
Right.
You know, like both are equally compelling and you can both make sense of that vision
Yeah.
with that. But like I became so attached to one version of
A lot of people did. A lot of people
You
did,
know?
and I think that's an issue, right?
Yeah.
And I think
Well, because that scene is also kind of reinforced by Kylo, like 25 minutes later.
yeah,
Of like,
there's this.
And how
you're,
was
you're
it-
from nothing.
And that, and
You
what?
know?
Yeah,
and
and we were just watching that too, and like Kylo seems very sure. Like it seemed like Kylo tapped into the Force and was like, "Oh yeah, they were junk
And
traders."
I think the idea now is that Kylo's lying to her.
I mean, I always
But-
wondered,
but he
between,
he doesn't even know the truth yet.
I know, but
But that's what I'm saying. Look, so you could, the way I framed it was, he could be lying, and that could, or it could be true. Either way, he's gonna say that to Rey, no matter what, whether it's true or not.
Or that could be what
to-
Kylo interpreted.
Or
Right.
it could be that too. But the way I took it is, he's gonna say that regardless because he's trying to bring Rey over to his side, and trying to be like, "You're important to me. Come with me. You're from nothing, but with me, you're something, and I'll train you. Blah blah blah. This, that, and the other."
So then we get the Luke and Rey fight.
Yeah.
And I had a question about this leading into. Do you think Luke consciously made the decision to tap into the Force?
Yes, he already did before that.
He force pulls the thing to him, doesn't he?
Yes,
Oh no, Rey
but
does that.
she pulls the lightsaber eventually, but Luke then pulls like a pole off from like somewhere.
Oh, okay.
But before that, he had connected with Leia.
Got it. With the R2 scene, then we also
Yes.
need to talk about.
That's-
There's so much
God,
we need
there
to
is-
talk about
there
with
is
this.
so-
Because
oh
there's
my
so many
gosh.
good. This movie
There
is
is a lot,
so
yeah.
fucking long. In my opinion, this movie is too long.
Some might say that, yes.
But there's so much good juice in this movie.
Yeah.
You could keep wringing the orange that is this movie and get more juice.
Juice. We love the juice.
The R2 scene I love.
It was,
I love the R2 scene.
And I love the line, cheap shot. I'm like, yeah,
Yeah.
but R2 don't play by any rules,
No,
dude.
R2's
He's a
R2's
thug.
Sacred Island,
He's a
watch your
thug.
language.
Oh,
I
R2's,
love
yeah.
it. And I like that we get the confirmation that R2 is just potty mouth all the time.
Oh, yeah. And he has so much memory of everything. Like, I always think about R2 knows, like, everything about the Skywalkers. Like, he knows everything. He was on Mustafar. He was on Coruscant for all that shit. He was in the Clone Wars. He knows Luke's grandmother. He served on Naboo. Like, this guy knows on Endor. I mean, he's been everywhere. He knows everything, and he has 3PO by his side who knows like a minuscule amount compared to what R2 has in his database.
Yeah, because 3PO's been erased.
Like 18 times.
Yeah.
But yeah. So
Yeah, he knows that 3PO and Luke are brothers.
he would know that.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my god.
In a way. Just like Snoke
That's
is Rey's
what,
uncle.
That's what Yoda meant when he said there is another.
Yeah, it's right. It's 3PO.
Because just like all good Skywalkers, 3PO got his arm cut off.
Damn.
Wow.
Damn. Dismembered. That Skywalker, bad luck. They're like the Kennedys, you know? They just
All right. Ray. What's her name?
Skywalker.
Rey?
Ray no one.
Saw your first steps.
Ray steals the books.
Steals the book.
The sacred Jedi texts.
Read them, have you?
The only paper
Page
we know
turners,
of, right?
they were not.
This is the only paper we know of. Up to that point.
That's a whole.
We do know for a fact that like people know about books because the term page turner is a thing in
true.
Star Wars.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, page turners they were not.
Yeah.
Is Yoda says that
Yeah.
even about the books.
That got a laugh in my theater.
Page turners, they were
Because I love that he's like, read them, have you?
They're not good.
Well, but even Luke's like, I didn't finish them.
Yeah, like I was in the middle.
I was,
I figured like I'll read them eventually.
I was really meditating on the first one before getting to the next couple. And then
But see, also what's interesting is that Luke still does hold some reverence to the Jedi Order
Absolutely.
because the way he reacts to those
Absolutely.
books, you know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
He absolutely does.
and Yoda knows that Rey took them.
Yeah, Yoda knows and Luke doesn't.
Yeah, he's like, there's nothing those books possess that or whatever. There's nothing to be found in those books that Rey doesn't already possess.
Yeah.
Right. And then he lights the tree on fire and he's like, the sacred Jedi text, and Yoda says, she already has everything she needs.
Yeah.
Meaning the books.
And I thought
But like they give I do like that twist on like this whole idea of like you don't need the books, you don't need these texts, but Yoda's like, no, like, yeah, they're probably useful to her. But I'm gonna treat you like,
yeah.
I've got a deep meaning.
Well, because I think what's important about this scene too is that Yoda, if you don't like the character arc that Luke's going through in this movie, I don't know how you can like this scene, because
No, yeah.
Yoda is really telling Luke like, "Hey, pass on what you have learned. That's the lesson I gave you."
Well, and the
you
greatest-
chose to cower to your own defeat and not,
Well, he
learn
chose-
from your failure.
And he chose to do also because Yoda knows him and Obi-Wan went into seclusion.
Yeah.
But the difference between
Yeah.
everyone compares Luke going into seclusion to Yoda and Obi-Wan going into seclusion. But the difference is they went into seclusion for a purpose with an end goal. With an end goal of teaching one of Anakin's children.
Yoda definitely did. I think Obi-Wan struggled with his purpose. Obi-Wan struggled. I think Obi-Wan struggled with his purpose in terms of, because he closes himself off from the Force, right?
Sure, he does, but but that doesn't mean he doesn't want. He's still on Tatooine looking after, on Tatooine looking after the boy, whether or not he's closed off, right? Because he's almost closed off more as closed off for different reasons.
Yes.
Yeah. That's a greater conversation, I think. But And it's a really
What
good,
I thought, where I thought you were going to go was that Luke has more in common with Obi-Wan than he does with Yoda in terms of seclusion.
No, I'm saying that he doesn't have anything in common with either of them for his reasons of seclusion.
Okay.
Because Luke went into seclusion for fear, for cowardice, as a reaction to his failure, and which is where the Yoda line comes in. The greatest teacher failure is.
Yeah.
Right. Which I think is a wonderful line, and I think that people miss the point of Luke's seclusion, in that this is a character. This is Luke's last test.
Yeah.
Right. This is the last test before Luke can become one with the Force, is him learning his lesson that he should not have gone into seclusion. That, yeah, he doesn't have to go be the big damn hero, but he still has a purpose to fulfill.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, because just because Luke,
Man, I clearly really hate this movie.
yeah, I know, just because it's just like, just because you go off and seclude yourself doesn't mean all the problems in the galaxy are gonna go away.
Yeah, but I think it's his own arrogance that he thinks the problems stem from him.
Right.
And if he removes himself, the problems will go away.
And the Skywalker curse of,
Yeah.
my father. I am a Jedi like my father before me, and my father was a failure of a Jedi. So like him,
Because
so am I.
if I didn't train Ben Solo, he would never turn to the dark side.
Well, but Ben Solo is also a Skywalker,
Yeah.
right? Like he sees it as a curse of his line, and he was the one loophole,
What I'll ultimately say about Luke is that if you came out of this movie and you didn't like what happened with Luke, I think that's kind of the point. But also for you to come out of this movie recognizing that Luke learns a lesson and he becomes once again that character that you were hoping that he was, the character that he is for the person that he is for the galaxy at large, and so. I know a lot of people had problems with the way Luke was portrayed in this movie, and I think I think that's kind of the point. Like, no, Luke, you're better than this. You're rooting for Luke. You want Luke to be that hero. Like Rey wants him to be that hero, and he's not until the end of the movie. And so, but people, I think, sometimes forget that he becomes that hero that you were looking for the entire time.
Yeah. He just does it in a different way. He does it in a much more Jedi way. But we're going to come back to that closer to the end.
Yeah.
Because we got to talk about the lowest speed chase in any film.
Are you sure?
I think it's this one, and then the
Little Leia? Oh, film. You said
oh
film. You said
yeah, that
film.
one's
You said,
the
you
Little
said,
Leia. Little Leia is a pretty low speed
Which,
chase.
never
I
mind.
forgive that one because that one is shot in live action with a child, and this one is using CGI. I will. It's either this one or Wall-E with the guys on the.
Okay. Oh, the little those things. Yeah.
Whatever.
The father years or something.
I like
The
I'm
ships.
talking about the ships.
Oh, the ships. Oh,
The ships.
Like
I like I like this in concept.
yeah.
I like everything about this in concept. They jump to light speed.
Again,
Poe gets
movie
reprimanded.
challenges you
I don't mind it.
in a way that you probably don't like, which is fair.
I do not mind it at all.
This is not about challenging us. This is a bad decision. This is a bad. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry. You're not going to convert me on this.
No,
one.
I'm not going to
like-
try to because this is probably the part that I care for the least of the movie. Yes.
I like a lot of the elements around this. I think that I love the scene where they realize they can't fight back.
Mm-hmm.
They're low on fuel. I like that concept, right? I'm okay with the hyperspace tracking because guess what? We have references to it in other media prior to this.
Rogue One.
Rogue
Yes,
One.
Rogue One. Yeah.
So I'm okay with it. I'm not. I don't like the execution of it. I think that it's visual. There are parts of this that are visually stunning. I think Kylo's assault on the Radis is great.
Oh man.
But
Leia and Kylo.
But here's the thing.
oof.
Here's the thing, right? There's got to be a core world that has a PDF that they could have jumped to for a haven, right? Because the idea is they have enough fuel to make one jump, and they don't. Right? They don't until the very end. And this is again my issue with this. For purposes of the plot versus. It almost loses coherence with the rest of Star Wars. in a way that I don't think is. It just but as the weird grognard diehard that knows way too much about this shit, it bugs me. But it also bugs the general audience because guess what? A lot of them don't like it either. Because it's kind of like, I don't know. Give us a fucking space.
Yeah, I think it is a little bit more of a difficult concept to wrap your mind around in terms of what.
Well, no, I wrap my mind around it.
Well, no. I mean, in terms of like the practicality
to accept it.
Yeah, to accept it. I get that angle because I think I do too. But at this point I just wave it off. I'm like, it's Star Wars. It's really more about what's actually happening with Poe and Holdo and everything that's going on within those ranks, as opposed to it's we're chasing.
Ironically, I think they're trying to emulate the asteroid field idea.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
right. And
interesting.
From that frame of mind, right? Because they have the same desperation. It's the same idea. Our core cast is trying to escape a fleet of Star Destroyers.
Yeah.
Right. You need to come up with a reason why they can't just jump to light speed and get out. And the reason in Empire is my brain is fucking. It's been a long week.
Yeah.
The hyperdrive motivator is not working.
Oh right. Right. Yeah.
And so they're in this asteroid field and they're evading and they're at risk of getting caught and dying. And then they get to the end destination. Fun fact: this movie's Empire Strikes Back in reverse.
Yeah, totally.
So we talked about how this movie.
There is a lot of elements.
We talked about how this movie is not a remix of.
But
it is.
It is.
I don't have a problem with
but
that.
But it doesn't feel the way the Force Awakens
it doesn't feel the way.
So,
yeah, they do a better
kudos
job.
to Rian Johnson on that.
They do a better job of remixing Empire. But yeah, it doesn't work for me. I love the Kylo scene with Kylo and the TIE fighter. That fucking TIE fight, the TIE silencer is fucking badass.
I do want to, because at this when the movie was released, Carrie had already passed.
Is that how it played out?
Yeah, I mean, it says in memory of.
And so when I'm watching the movie in the theater for the first time, and you see Kylo have like that connection with Leia, you're like, oh, it's gut wrenching, right? And you're like, he can't do it. He cannot kill his own mom. He can kill his dad.
And I love that the other fucking TIE pilot does.
Yeah, and he's just like, well, he doesn't know that. I mean, yeah, he knows that's like the capital ship, right? Their lead ship. So yeah, he's gonna shoot on it, but he doesn't have a connection to Leia like Kylo does, and where Kylo is on this path of and
that stormtrooper probably doesn't even know Kylo is Ben Solo, right?
And so. Anyways, so
because they're indoctrinated from children, why would they tell you? Hey, our leader, one of our.
People talk. Anyways, that's neither here nor there.
I don't know.
It's neither here nor there. And it's just you see Kylo with his finger on the trigger, and is he gonna? And he doesn't, and because he just can't. Like that's the one part where he can't go that route the way he went with Han with his dad, and then. The whole thing blows up, right? And she flies off into space, and to me as a viewer and knowing Carrie
what
had
passed,
it's like
it's a very emotional moment.
Is this how they're gonna write her out? I guess essentially. I'm like, man, but then she goes Mary Poppins style, flies back into which I was also like, whoa. This is she's using the Force. First of all, it's the first thing I thought. I was like, we're seeing Leia use the Force. First of all, didn't really look that great to me. I love if I read it on paper, I'd be like, holy shit. Watching it, I was like, okay, but also she's using the Force. That's cool. So I was very mixed.
And it foreshadows the Holdo maneuver because she flies through the hologram of the supremacy, and she.
Oh, does she really?
Yeah, she flies right through the middle.
Oh, damn! I never noticed that. That's really cool.
That is good. I think the scene is so poorly shot. I love it. I love it in practice. I disagree strongly with people that are like, just because she had the Force, that means she could survive in space, motherfucker. There shouldn't be explosions in space either, dumbass.
I made a whole YouTube video about how you can survive in space, and you can for about a minute.
Well, also this is Star Wars.
There for about a minute.
They play by a different
rules.
It's
almost
good.
But I just think it visually doesn't work for me. The concept of the scene, I agree with you totally. Concept of the scene works fine for me, and people are like, oh my god, it's Leia's first time using the Force. No, motherfucker, she used the Force in Empire. What are you talking about? Like,
yeah, I guess like people interpret that as Luke using
well, also,
the Force.
but the whole point of this movie is the Force is more than moving rocks,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, sometimes you lift stones.
You know, because my father
And robots.
You know, my family's strong in the Force. My father
Yeah.
has it. My sister has it.
Too. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Leia's always used the Force.
Mm-hmm.
It's something you do, right? If you have it, you use it. You know, if you don't use
Yeah,
it,
I like the fact that she survives that blast.
yeah,
And like,
it's cool.
great.
Now, I want to talk about the unceremonious removal of one Admiral Gale
Yeah.
Akbar.
I was literally
Dive in.
I was literally just gonna say, well, if only Admiral Akbar could use the Force.
Come on, like this.
You beat me to it.
Show some fucking respect to Gale.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I got, yeah. You'll get a hard agree.
It would have
from me
been
on
too
that.
much fan service if he went, "It's a trap" before the explosion. But maybe if he said something else.
If he said,
That's a wrap.
what if he,
That's all, folks.
no, what if he just said, what if he just said, Leia? And then it was like, boom. I'll be like, oh,
Leia.
dude, that would have been good.
Princess.
They do acknowledge it. That like
That would've been-
they're like Admiral
Damn.
Akbar, all our leadership. But yeah, like you don't.
Yeah.
But my problem is, and I have the same problem with Nine Numb. Like they show them in these movies, but at no point do they give any like fanfare or
I'm
anything.
fine. I'm fine with that for Nine Nub.
I
Because
would.
I think Nine Nub gets his due, right? Like he's an X-wing. Like I think Nine Nub gets his due, especially the fact that he's flying. The I'm gonna fight you on this. The Tantive 4.
Okay.
It's not the Tantive 4. I'll fight you on this.
Talk to George.
He flies the Tantive 4.
Yeah, in Rise of Skywalker.
What?
In Rise. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the Tantive 4.
I gotta go watch that movie again.
No,
But
You got it
yeah,
for next week.
I like, and I would have appreciated in the Force Awakens if, like, at one point someone went like, "Oh, hey, this is Admiral Akbar," "Hey, Admiral Akbar."
this is Nine Nub, the co-pilot that destroyed the second Death Star.
Just the background character.
I don't
now.
need that. I didn't need that, but
I
like
need it.
You know, I would have liked
At least-
I would have liked or a briefing. Well, Admiral Akbar does speak during that briefing.
Yeah, he does.
But then,
Like,
but you don't know if that's him because his species, they all look the same, right?
No, they don't. That's space racist. Have you seen Aftab? Motherfucker looks dumb as shit.
They all look very similar. Okay.
Raz and Akbar don't look the same.
They don't, yeah.
What I'm trying to say is, as an alien, it's like trying to tell dogs apart, man. Like, it's just like, that also sounds racist. But, like, you know what I mean? Like, he's not human.
Look,
so, like,
I can tell all
our brains are not wired to recognize different faces that aren't human.
all three of Frank's dogs look different than any other dog I've ever seen.
Wow.
Mostly because they're cats.
Yes. But, like, our brains are wired to just
I understand.
recognize human faces.
What I'm saying is,
so
if
to
you
him,
would've-
I'm like,
if during that briefing they would have just, if the guy from Lost,
yeah.
and I don't mean
Miles.
if Miles from Lost, thank you.
What's the actor's name?
I used to know the character's name.
Yeah, it's Miles. I'm a huge Lost.
No,
fan.
but I used to know the Star Wars character's name.
Yeah.
I also used to know the Lost.
Some sort of a thermal oscillator.
Yeah. If he would have been like, turned the meeting over to Admiral
Yeah.
Akbar,
Yeah, something like that.
Like,
Because
that's all you
otherwise
need.
I'm like, oh, that's Amon Calamari, but is it Akbar?
Yeah.
Who freaking knows?
oh hey, it's for those fish guys.
Yeah, but at least in this movie they call him out by
Especially
name.
because they're not wearing the same shirt.
Yeah,
Like if they had put him in the same white admiral uniform,
maybe.
That'd have been
But
cool.
I would.
but it's like
Where's
all
military
stained.
whites? Yeah.
It's like all stained
yeah.
and dirty.
I would have liked more
It's beige at
fanfare.
this point.
I would have liked more
Yeah,
fanfare.
without-
but
with
at least they do say Admiral Akbar, all our leadership, they're gone.
Yeah.
And it's like okay.
Or like in Rise of Skywalker, you pan over to like a memorial scene with holographic images of and it could flicker through different heroes they've lost or something. I don't know. That sounds dumb.
And maybe I think we like. Is it morbid to want to see Admiral Akbar's dead body? Like, have some closure.
Yeah, you know what? I think happened? I think him and Mace Windu both survived going out those windows.
Hey.
And this is how dumb I think the Mace Windu theory is. Anyways. So we get the Battle of Chiron Belt, Holdo.
Battle of Caramel?
Yeah. That Holdo?
That Holdo?
That Holdo?
Is her hair naturally purple, or does she dye it?
So here's my thing. I love Holdo.
Yeah.
She's great.
From the books.
I've heard that from people who've read
her speech that she gives when she assumes command.
She's very good.
I was watching that earlier today. It gave me chills.
So I forget the book that she shows
I'd
up
be
in.
like, you damn right. I am the freaking spark, man. Let's go.
I'm like, yeah, that is our mission. Holy shit. Yeah.
I think
Let's burn everything down. Let's go.
I really like the book she shows up in. I can't remember the name of it.
Was she in Bloodline?
No, it's during the original trilogy.
Oh,
Yeah.
It's not one of the aftermath
like they go to
books.
Crate and like
yes, I do know. I remember that. Oh no,
Not one of
it's
the aftermath.
is it Prince? Is that one?
It might be Leia, Princess of Alderaan.
I think it is.
Maybe.
I think it's that one, maybe.
But
I don't know. I haven't read it. So.
Yeah, she dyes her hair, but it's part of her planet's traditions. She dyes her hair a bunch of different colors. I think, if I remember correctly.
Every planet has traditions. Some are dyeing your hair. Others are marrying off your daughters at a very young age.
I do want to talk about the.
It's a reference to Mon Mothma's home planet of Chandrila, by the way.
That's what we all thought right away.
I was trying to figure out what the fuck he was talking about.
Where's Mon Mothma? Where's Mon
joke.
Mothma in these movies?
Dead.
What?
Bitch is old.
Not that old.
No, she's retired. She's retired from. She was Chancellor of the New Republic for a little while, and she
Did a bad job. Demilitarized it like a moron.
Yes, she did. Actually, that was entirely her.
Stupid.
Yeah,
I will say about.
I'm not saying have a grand army of the Republic, but have some blasters.
Have
you know what I mean?
you don't need a grand army, like maybe like a medium army of the Republic.
Like a medium rare.
Like a tall army of the Republic. I don't need a grand army or a venti army, just
like a tall
medium
army.
Yeah, a tall army.
Like one that you could grow if a war ever broke out.
Yeah.
But like one that could at least, defend the outer rim.
Well, we do know they have a fleet. We do know they have X-Wings because they fly T-75 X-Wings. And they use T-70 X-Wings in the Resistance. So they actually have a step above on the X-Wings. We just don't ever see them because fuck us.
They all get blown up. They're all parked off of one planet for some reason.
I don't know. Except in the book where...
Why'd the Republic park their entire fleet on one planet?
Because that's where the capital of the Republic was.
Yeah, but what good is that going to do?
It protects the capital.
Makes it really nifty to blow up, don't you think?
Yeah, I agree.
Kind of the problem with the bombers in the beginning of the movie. They were so tightly at the tight formation that once one exploded,
it was an intentional tight formation.
It was, which was a
I
miscalculation.
think Tally says, keep your tight formation. Like
she does say that.
We'll protect the bombers.
You don't fucking put this on Tally.
She says it.
You leave Tally out of this.
She's blue leader, and she gives that exact command word for word.
Okay, so Holdo, Poe, this whole. I used to have a problem with the way this all went down. I was like, yeah, why don't you tell Poe? Well, because it's like a military, and there's a chain of command, and there's.
But I also do feel like it is a. It feels like a manufactured conflict. Like it feels like conflict for the sake of conflict, because while I agree, yeah, it's a military, and Poe has already proven he can't necessarily be trusted with these command decisions. This is extraordinary circumstances.
Yeah, but I mean, also, they were in extraordinary circumstances at the beginning of the movie, and he's the reason why a ton of their fleet is gone. And so, I actually, when I think about it from Holdo's point of view, why would I listen to this guy now when the reason we're kind of in this whole situation to begin with is because we don't have a whole fleet, and he's the reason why.
I would argue that the reason we're in this whole situation to begin with is because a group of pilots took a risk against insurmountable odds and blew up the first Death Star.
I mean, sure.
Right? So my whole sentiment on this is like, yeah, I agree, and let me clarify here. I don't think the character of Holdo is in the wrong for making the decisions she did. I think that the writing is bad.
And I will say,
I don't even think that. I'm sorry. I don't even think the writing is bad. I just think that they needed a conflict for this moment, and the conflict they chose just doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
I will say, Poe ended up being right to take out the Dreadnought, because that thing would have had the range to blow up the Raddus.
Actually, that's true. But if they had more of the fleet, they were going to jump, and then actually they would have been tracked, right? And then they would have been
the
killed.
Dreadnought would have shown up and blown them up.
And what are those bombers going to do against more Star Destroyers?
Yeah, that's true.
Blow up faster?
So he was retroactively right.
Now, granted,
take out the Dreadnought.
But he did it in not the right way, I guess.
No, he does learn a lesson because this movie is about failure. Everyone in this movie fails. Every single person, they fail and they learn from it.
Except Rose.
And Rey.
No, Rey fails.
Rey fails.
Where did she fail?
Rey fails to convince Luke to come on the crusade. Rey fails
Well, he eventually shows up.
To turn
Kylo. Rey fails to understand Kylo's playing her.
Well, I mean, okay, sure. She got away.
Yeah, you're right. But that doesn't mean she
sure. Okay, yeah, I can see that, but of all the people, she fails the least.
She does. That's fair. She does fail the
No,
least.
Chewbacca fails the least.
Yeah, Chewie and Holdo fails the least.
I mean, Holdo, man, she really. What a legendary moment! It was very cool. In the
You know
theater.
what? Guillermo, not Guillermo. Benicio del Toro.
Yeah,
Fails the least. He gets exactly what he wants.
it's true. Yeah,
Good guys, bad guys, made up words.
I like him.
I can take him or leave him.
I think he's silly, but I like him.
Yeah,
I wouldn't have minded to see him again.
I would kind of was like, give me Justin Theroux. Like, I want to see that dude like being the code breaker. That'd been cool. We'll get to your favorite part of Canto Bite. Don't worry. But this whole
I was so excited for Canto Bite.
Were you
From the promo stuff? Mm-hmm. I was
interested in it. Yeah.
Excited as hell.
Before we get
Horses.
into that, I just want to quickly say about the resistance part in space, the chase.
The resistance in space. I like how involved Billy Lord is.
Totally
in the plot.
Yes. Where she I think Holdo's like, what was that? And she's like, it was nothing. It was just space debris. You know, she's in on the little coup plot type of thing.
She's so good. She's so good.
She's great.
Because does she work as an does she? I don't know anything.
Yes.
Yeah,
else.
she is.
Oh my God, go watch Booksmart.
Yeah, she's great in
Oh,
Booksmart.
okay.
Oh,
yeah,
so good.
I really like her in this movie, and I feel like she was underutilized in the next movie. Same with Rose.
Well, I mean, probably understandably so.
Yeah, don't get me started on Rose being underutilized in the next one.
Well, hold on.
Billy,
She was the stand-in for. They used her plenty in that. She was the body double for Leia.
Yes, but I'm saying like it's probably pretty tough.
I don't know.
It's your mom, and then
I mean,
you're also acting against a stand-in who's playing your mom when you have your lines.
Yeah, okay,
and
that's fair.
Like,
but you could have had her act off. Everyone's favorite Dominic Monaghan.
Right. Anyway, okay, look,
Definitely
all right,
needed to be in that movie.
I mean, yeah, I want Dominic Monaghan in more things.
We'll talk about him next week. Plus, trust me. I will say this is my least favorite part of the movie. It is a little difficult to like take it in, and it's just like, all right, yeah, I get it.
Let's rapid fire some stuff.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the Maz Kanata cameo?
I like it.
Nah.
You're the guy that's the most positive about this movie, and I love that. I love that, like the stuff that you're like, "Fuck no." Yeah, it feels like a video game clip.
Yeah, that's why I like it. Actually, I'm not gonna lie.
All right,
I don't know. Like, yeah, she didn't need to be there.
It feels like in a JRPG, like in the first Kingdom Hearts.
I wonder if Lupita signed like a 3-picture deal, and they're like, "We got to get her in this."
You have Lupita Nyong'o. You do nothing with her.
Have you played Kingdom Hearts?
When I was a kid.
Okay. Did you play Kingdom Hearts?
No.
So you remember in the first Kingdom Hearts when you like could summon like Mushu and Simba, and they like do a quick like cutscene, like Mushu's like, "I am Mushu," and then grows into a big Mushu. That's what it felt like. Like it's like they just pop in, they help real quick, and they're good. Like you could put Lupita, you could make her a droid or a robot, like a different character. Guess what? Maz doesn't look like Lupita. Doesn't even really sound like Lupita.
It would have been cool, like people said, like replace her with Lando in that moment. Maybe.
Yeah,
that would have been cool.
Or
wait, so we just have a better. Do you have a problem just because it's Maz?
No, we have a problem. We have a problem because it makes Maz look silly.
Maz is kind of silly.
Okay, you know who I would rather have Luke silly and make
Luke silly?
No, I know what I said. I didn't mean to say it. You know who I'd rather have look silly?
Who?
And who I think would have been great as a cameo in that scene? Poe, who, by the way, according to Rise of Skywalker, was a smuggler.
For like a day. Anyways, go on. Just
Poe could call on his old smuggler contact, Hondo Ohnaka.
oh man, that'd have been cool. That'd have been cool. But so wait, I don't understand here. You have a problem either that it's Maz, that she was silly, but then you're like, well, if we're gonna have silly, then we're gonna have Hondo.
Yeah, if you're gonna have silly, give me Hondo.
But Maz can't
Orlando.
be silly. Maz can't be silly. She's kind of silly.
Maz can be silly, but it just looks. It doesn't look. The scene doesn't feel real to me.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. It's just and like how we have no reason to believe that Poe knows Maz either.
Also, we just saw Maz like 12 hours ago, and now she's in a mining dispute.
Union dispute.
Her
okay?
castle
You don't want to
just-
hear about it. Trust me.
Yeah,
But
it was
like
very.
the timeline doesn't. The timeline literally does not.
She didn't need to be in this movie.
She did not need to be in the movie.
And
I agree. She didn't need to be, but I don't care that she is.
Somehow she's wasted even more in the next movie, which we'll get to.
Oh, I disagree with that actually.
And they made her an animatronic, and it looks awful. Sorry.
Okay.
So I
Let's move on.
hold on, hold on. But the timeline doesn't work for Maz to be there.
Who cares?
Okay, great. I do.
Okay, you do. I don't. I don't know who else does
Lots
or
of
doesn't. But sure, fine.
Or just make it less goofy. I don't know.
Who do you want her to be in the hologram? Like, yeah, well, there's this guy.
Yeah, she could have
Candle
just
Bite.
answered the question.
Yeah, she could have just said, "Yeah, I know a guy."
I know a guy.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. Well, next time you watch the scene, just picture that. Okay.
I'm glad they can make phone calls while
I'm
they're
glad.
being tailed by the
You know what
First
else?
Order,
I'm
by
glad.
the
I'm
way.
glad Frank wants to do reviews of these movies, but doesn't want to hear our opinion on them.
Well, I don't need to hear it for like 17 minutes on the Maz Kanata. Like, that's all I'm saying. I know what you're saying about the scene.
I think
I don't need to hear
Maz Kanata
repeated, like,
is the
18
best 8
times.
seconds of Star Wars.
Oh my
Taking
gosh.
shots at myself.
Then there's like a deleted scene in The Force Awakens where Maz could use the Force, and then like she's just thrown to the side. Like I don't.
Well, I do think it's implied in the. I think even what exists in Force Awakens, it is implied that she has some connection. To the
She's
Force.
like she's a.
I find
she's
her like a
touch.
Lars Santeca type of.
or like a
Chirrut.
Chirrut.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, sure.
I
I
was
like
just
all
gonna
three
say
of them. I
Chirrut,
feel
yeah.
like come
Yeah.
from like the same school.
I think Laura is completely
Well,
unconnected.
not literally the
Because
same
I
school,
think
but like
I think Chirrut is Force sensitive. Like that's why he can like
He's
fight
forced
because he's
well,
blind.
That's we'll talk about that when we get to we'll talk about that at some
I'm
other
just
time.
saying.
That's a whole discussion because it's been like Lucasfilm has said no, he isn't. But like I'm sorry.
To a small degree, he has to
Yeah,
be.
he's
Not
gotta be.
enough where he could levitate stuff with his mind, but I mean, like,
everyone has midichlorians. Okay,
he can see, but he's blind. You know what I mean?
Ray's mom, Laura Santeca and Ray's mom. No,
Got
not
it
Ray's
on.
mom. Felicity Jones, his name.
Jyn Erso.
Jyn Erso. Thank you.
Okay.
Lyra Erso
Lyra.
is.
Oh, yeah.
They're both members of the Church of the Force. That's their.
That's cool.
Significance.
I like that stuff. Okay, so now let's talk about Rey going to Kylo.
No, let's talk about.
No? Okay. Cool.
Canto Bite comes first.
Yeah, but we okay.
I don't really want to talk about it.
Okay, I do like the first meeting with Poe and Rose.
Poe and Rose. Oh yeah, Poe and Rose.
Right. I think it's fucking hilarious.
How'd you two meet? Luck.
Good luck, bad luck.
We don't know yet. Yeah, actually, you know what, Finn? Man, this dude
This
is
Finn-
just. As soon as he wakes up, he's like, right. Like, bro,
The stupid
relax.
bag, the bag suit.
Yeah, it was funny. It was very funny. It was
not
very
bad.
Space Odyssey type.
Every
of
morning
looking.
I wake up, I go, Sabrina.
Wait, what's the line BB-8 says? Finn bag
Naked,
Yeah,
leaky, something.
naked leaky bag.
It's great.
I do feel like Finn is hilarious in this movie.
He's great.
Probably a little misused in this movie,
Or underused.
underused, but I think he's fucking hilarious.
I think, I understand a lot of the complaints. I do think he kind of gets like a bad rap in some ways. Like people like say like, oh, like his like him and Rose, but it's clearly a one-sided thing. Like Rose has a fat crush on him, and he's like, I just see you as a friend.
Well, but also I don't
It's
think,
like I'm in love with Rey.
I don't know, man. Again, I'm gonna throw out indoctrinated stormtrooper. Like, you know, he's got his own.
Sure, he doesn't know how to.
He's
act.
got his own mental hookups with that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, well, not necessarily because I think he is attracted to Rey. I think.
I think he's attracted to Poe,
Right. Well, sure, he could be attracted to
we'll
both.
never know.
or we will.
Or we will. Maybe.
Poe's definitely attracted to him because that lip bite in The Force Awakens.
Yeah.
He looked good in that jacket.
There's some sexual tension there. I don't. Okay, so here's my. I'm gonna make a couple statements about Canto Bight. I like the setup. I like the Joseph Gordon-Levitt cameo.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I think
Those are the shuttle parkers.
also his name is Slow and Low, which is a great name for an Abighetto.
I thought that was like a name for like artificial sugar. I was like, what?
Slow and Low is the name of a whiskey. It's also the name of a Beastie Boys song.
Oh, no.
Just like the Abighetto in Force Awakens is named Elo Asti,
okay.
named after
Hello
the
Nasty,
Beastie
yeah.
Boys song Hello Nasty.
And the Beastie Boys are in the Star Trek franchise as well.
JJ named all the Abighettos after Beastie Boys songs.
So I feel like J.J. Abrams was a big Beastie Boys fan.
I think that's what it is.
A little bit.
I think Canto Bight is a cool setup. I think the events of Canto Bight are disappointing. I think the father years are disappointing. I think that while Rose's statements on, you know, Canto Bight being beautiful but corrupt and all this stuff, I think it's well intentioned.
Yeah.
But I think that putting it into words in the script like that does not feel like something. I don't know. I guess Padme has some lines that are like that. I don't know. It just feels off. I don't trust the verisimilitude of. Is that too big of a word for you?
I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
It's
No one knows what that means. He made it up.
it's not I don't feel immersed when she's saying these things.
Sure.
Right. It takes me out of the film.
Not a word.
That being said, I like DJ. I like BB-8 shooting the coins.
I like that.
Because BB-8, anyone's got a problem with BB-8 shooting coins, it's no different than R2 spitting oil and lighting his jetpacks.
For sure.
Sorry, right?
You stupid little astro joy.
It's fucking hilarious when the little fucking dude,
Mark Hamill.
who by the way is Mark Hamill.
Body double, yeah. Mark
Hamill's body double.
He voices it, right?
Yeah. Is sticking the coins in
I do love the establishing shot of, or inside the casino with the camera moving through. Really, again, great made
it's
film.
set up. It's
so cool.
The Canto Bight stuff is set up, and then the father chase feels like a cut scene from Harry Potter.
Yeah, I hear you.
You know?
I hear you. Yeah, I think I like I think you're right. It's very well intentioned, and like I appreciate the message that's coming from this part of the movie, but it's like I struggle with it fitting in with the movie as a whole. I do ultimately like how it does tie into the end with Broom Boy and all that stuff in terms of like the resistance and like, because Holo references, everyone knows our symbol, what it stands for, blah, blah, blah. And that's echoed or, displayed at the end of the movie with, the ring and all that.
Yeah,
so
the
like,
cereal box.
So like,
ring.
I understand, like I get that stuff and I appreciate that stuff. And again, it's all well intentioned. You're
I
right.
think they sell them at Disneyland.
Do they?
Yeah.
Yeah, they better be.
I think they're at the.
Those are. I kind of want one actually.
At Doc Ondar's.
I want one. That'd be cool.
Den of Antiquities.
I want that.
Yeah, I think it's well intentioned. I think it's poorly executed. I like the design of the ship they steal.
Yeah,
It's dope.
I mean, I think some people also don't particularly care for the aesthetic of Canto Bight because it feels
It's similar.
out of place.
It's similar to the Vespa gang on Tatooine.
Sure, but like it's also like, man, how like
it's out there. It exists.
there's like. The galaxy doesn't look like the same thing all over the place. Like you're gonna have.
I think the problem is people take the aesthetic of the original trilogy, and they forget that the entire original trilogy is set in the Outer Rim.
Sure, and made on a budget of $7 million.
Also, I'm sorry, but Cloud City doesn't look any less shiny than fucking Canto Bight, because again, this movie, Canto Bight is our Cloud City stand-in.
100%.
You know,
Correct.
You've got the chase through the halls of Cloud City. You've got the rich and powerful up on. Stay with us within the clouds, princess.
Yes. Yeah.
You know. Yeah, I think it's well intentioned. I think it's poorly executed. I like DJ a lot.
I do like him.
Like I said, I could leave or take it. He doesn't. I'm not like, oh, I want to know more about DJ. I know what he represents, and I like him for that.
I don't need to know any more about him.
Yeah.
I like his inclusion, and I think my problem with the Rose lines about like where they got their money funding the war, like I think DJ's inclusion is enough to explain that.
I do want to talk about Rose in the sense of I like how she's there in terms of helping Finn along in his character development.
Sure.
Because again, he's in Force Awakens, he's just going there to rescue Rey and like whatever to the Resistance. And Han's like, dude, what the no, people are depending on us. And at the beginning of this movie, he's like, I gotta go make sure Rey's fine. Sorry guys, you here on the ship getting chased by the First Order. And Rose is like, you're abandoning us, you're a coward. And so he has to go from this mentality of, I just want to protect Rey, save Rey, protect Rey. I'm only thinking about one thing and not the greater cause. Whereas Rose is like, think about the greater cause.
Rose is there to teach him morality.
Yeah.
Because again, indoctrinated, I'm going to use I don't care if we get demonetized. We're not monetized.
No.
He grew up, the motherfucker grew up in the Hitler Youth.
I mean,
right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, he needs some morals. Okay. Anyways, the fucking ship. Let's get to the ship. BB-8's wearing a trash can.
First of all, I love the idea of infiltrating a ship. I always love this kind of thing in Star Wars. It happens all the time, especially like in anime, like in Rebels. And I love sneaking onto a ship or sneaking onto the Death Star. Right? I love that.
There's
stuff.
a really good comic where they try to steal a Star Destroyer, and it's just so good.
I love that stuff.
And it's something that happens in Halo a lot. They try to steal it's such a good trope. Battlestar.
Yeah.
And I love the idea of them jettisoning the escape pod to get Rey. Like, Rey's not even trying to infiltrate. She's just going. Like,
take me.
Because she's pulling a Luke in
Return.
In Return.
Yeah.
Like, get captured, go to the throne room. Throne room scene.
Yes.
How do you feel about throne room scene?
I like it.
God, I love it.
You like
everything I love about this movie revolves around Rey, Kylo, Luke, Snoke. Like, all of that stuff. I just ate it up, and I could not get enough.
I also think that if we cut out the Canto Bight stuff, and they still try to, because they could still try to invade, they could have made it to where like, oh well, Rose can hotwire whatever they had to need a code breaker for, right?
Yeah.
And then you have Rose and Finn interacting with Poe and Holdo, and part of that plot, and then they, without Holdo's permission, find a way to get on the Star Destroyer, right? I think that could have worked maybe a little better.
Yeah.
And I think that also would make the Holdo and Finn plot stronger.
Perhaps.
Because I like Rose. She is...
Yeah.
I think she's used well for what she needs to do. I think her lines are written a little corny, but no cornier than the prequels.
Sure. I mean, she's like the moral compass, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it's going to be a little. It's going to come across a little corny.
You can tell. Like, I also like the juxtaposition between Rose and Paige, where like Paige is like the badass older sister, and Rose
Certainly
is this
like it.
sweet, idealistic. They have friendship necklaces because Rose bought them friendship necklaces, and Paige is like, sure, I'll wear your stupid fucking friendship necklace.
But she touches it right before she dies.
Of course.
And it's like,
because she still has a heart.
She's a hero.
Yeah.
Now she's like, well, thank God you gave me this for my last moments.
Yeah. I just, I like the Star Destroyer invasion. The throne room scene is fucking great though.
Man.
Snoke is so menacing.
He is very menacing, and I think
more menacing than Palpatine. The way he just tosses Rey around without even lifting a finger.
Well, because Palpatine is the Joker, like he's like the animated Joker, right? Like he's not.
Oh yeah. Okay.
He's not like scary.
He's intimidating to me.
It would have
in
been
this movie.
so interesting if Palpatine was just not involved, and like somehow the like the Snoke guy. was
Brandon,
just,
what are
like-
you talking about? I don't know.
what I
I don't know
mean?
what you're talking about.
Yeah, I don't. They never,
I in the third movie when
pretty
we
sure he
get
died.
all of Snoke's backstory,
Pretty sure he
I
died.
love it.
like up until this point, like where my mind was kind of leaning, or where I thought they were gonna go with it, was like Snoke was this like unknown like power, this like presence that was lurking in the unknown regions.
Or an ancient, or just an
And-
ancient Sith who had been living out. Like there's so much cool stuff you could have done.
Like an ancient
Different
like
stuff, yes.
and not maybe not even a Sith because of the rule of two, but like just like a dark side user.
Well, I don't give a fuck about the rule 2 because none of the Sith gave a fuck about the rule 2.
But for me, I'm just saying like because like just like a dark side user, like that's
always
like really powerful.
Always two, there are a master and an apprentice, and then another apprentice,
apprentice for the
and
apprentice.
sometimes an extra apprentice.
yeah, it's
Like Savage and Asajj.
Right.
And
But listen, imagine he's just like a dark side user, not a Sith, because this is my version.
well, he is a dark side user.
but not a Sith.
we stand
though.
here amongst my version, not yours.
That was good.
That's really good. That's good.
I will talk about the version that I first mentioned to the Emperor. A long time ago, whatever he says. No, like imagine he's just like a dark side user out in the unknown regions, and when the Empire retreats to go out there to become the First Order, they stumble across Snoke.
Yeah, and I think that's what everyone
and
predicted.
Snoke just kind of goes, I'm in charge now, Phasma. I'm in charge.
Yeah.
And then he becomes
Well,
the
it was,
supreme leader because he could literally toss people around with his
It was
mind.
Brendel. He had to tell Brendel
Yeah.
he was in charge.
I'm in charge now, Brendel.
Brendel was a little bitch.
Seems like it. Yeah.
So that would have been
His son's even more of a little bitch.
that would have been really interesting. And it's just like, and then maybe you fill in the gaps in the comics where all this time Palpatine like knew about this presence in the unknown regions, but he couldn't quite like get to him.
Yeah.
And like that would have been like a cool tie-in. Maybe he was building the Death Star to just blow up Snoke.
Yeah, I mean, well, and that's like we talked about.
that man right there.
See that big.
So
and
this
he's
is a planet
And in your
kid.
version, he's still giant.
He's still a giant.
Fire the laser at the big giant man in the chair.
20 feet tall. Yeah.
Sir, this is a planet killer. I know.
Look at how big he is.
He's huge. You can't miss him.
He's got that weird looking face and that jail tattoo from when he was in jail with Andor.
He can't swim.
He can't swim. That's how he ended up in space.
Anyways, that would have been cool. And that's like, and I think that would have been like, you could have tied that into like how powerful he is in this movie, where he's like literally tossing Rey around with his mind and like not even moving.
It's kind of we kind of talked about. Actually, we kind of skipped over this. I think a lot of other people talked about this though. In The Force Awakens, we're dealing with people who are powerful with the Force, but not trained and not skilled.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it almost doesn't matter how powerful Snoke is, because Kylo and Rey are not very adept. Mostly because Kylo, although he's been trained by two masters now, he lacks the control or the willingness to be in control of his powers. And Rey just hasn't had the formal training yet. Right.
Yeah.
I love the turn in this scene. I love because even we were watching this scene before we started, and even the Kylo saber turning.
Oh man,
I even still felt like he was going to ignite it and kill Rey, even though I know that's not what happens. Like it's
this movie. No, first, especially on the first watch, I was like, "Holy crap!
Yeah.
What if they? What is happening? Like
Right.
because, and then it's just like, yeah, he's turning this, and you're like, oh man, it's talking about some of the best stuff in Star Wars. This is so well written and executed. You know,
that's why it's the best 8 minutes in Star Wars.
I also really quickly too before this whole sequence, just the tenacity from Rey going at Snoke, just like
Well, because Kylo has played her and played her so well. The dark side is a corrupting like that's the thing. Kylo has basically convinced her like, yeah, we're on the same side.
Yeah, and like Rey
Come
has no
join-
problem apparently tapping a little bit into the dark side as Luke talks about. It's like you went right to it,
Right.
and she is at this point where she can, I guess, somewhat tap into it, but not be overcome with it, and still go after Snoke. And it's, I don't know, it's such an interesting part about Rey's character that she can kind of like, it seems like she goes right up to the edge.
Yeah.
But it's somehow within her nature still to not fall over that edge, and it's what makes her so tenacious. And what Snow calls her, like a Jedi, just like a true Jedi. I forget his exact line, but I really love Rey in this moment because it's her Luke versus Vader meeting moment where she's not fully trained yet. She's not fully equipped to deal with this.
It's her temptation. It's her throne. I like that we get the Return of the Jedi throne room scene in the middle of the saga here,
and almost
right?
in the middle of the movie.
And that's the thing. In the middle of the movie, it's not like, yeah, I like it, and the fight's cool.
The fight is so cool. Oh man, I was losing my mind. It was great.
It's a great fight. Yeah, there's some weird choreography stuff in there that people will love to point out, like, oh, what happened to the sword? Who cares?
The swords.
Oh, there's a one of the guards has a disappearing weapon.
Oh, see, like I don't care.
Yeah, it's like he has it. It's when Rey drops the saber and catches with the other hand. He at the beginning of that scene he has two weapons.
Oh, okay.
And at the end of the scene, the second one's edited out.
Oh, okay. Well, there
it's
you go.
weird. But
I actually have never noticed that. Yeah.
Again, I've watched this movie a lot, Frank.
And these guards, we talked about this. They're from Exegol. They're like Sith Eternal.
We don't know.
People.
I don't know where they are.
No.
I made a testicle joke.
Yeah.
When you asked,
because I don't know if they're from Exegol or if they are like.
No, I assume they're part of the same stormtrooper.
Abducted kids.
Yeah, I think there's. Well, I think. I think they're part of the same program.
I don't know. They're wearing red, so.
Well, they're supposed to harken back to the
throne room
guards.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Because Palpatine always has red armored guards.
Yes.
Because in Revenge of the Sith, he has the red armored clone troopers, or the clone troopers with
the red are for the leader.
And then
basically
he's got the.
He likes red.
He likes red. The whole room.
But like, these guys are clearly more trained than the other guards that Palpatine had, because Yoda just kind of throws them against a wall like they're nothing.
Well, hold on.
These guys put up a fight.
Those were not. Those guys that Yoda kills are not the red armored ones.
They're red.
No, those are the senatorial guards, which were royal blue.
They were red.
Or
They were wearing red. They were wearing
Were
red.
they really?
Yeah. When he walks in
red,
and he
bro.
goes, "Poof." They were wearing red.
Yeah, bro.
I'm gonna agree to disagree.
Well, you're wrong.
They probably are senatorial guards, but Palpatine was just like, I want them red.
Okay.
Get out the spray paint.
I thought they were in dark blue.
Nope.
Nope. Sorry, buddy.
We're gonna
Sorry,
check. Guys, let us know in the comments.
I do love the fact that Kylo killed Snoke. And
Sure.
it was so unexpected, but also like, hell yeah, like what's going to happen now? I mean, this movie just threw a lot of twists and turns at me that I just wasn't at all anticipating. And this is one of them, like probably the biggest one, really. And I was all for Supreme Leader Kylo Ren.
Yes.
Yeah. Well,
So here for it.
There's two visual things they do that's really cool in this scene. As they're fighting, the weapons burn away because there's like a fabric like curtain around everything.
yeah.
And so the weapons burn away that fabric curtain so that at the end of the fight, Rey now sees, oh, there's the fleet.
Yeah.
Because she literally came out of hyper
That's right.
light speed, got plopped onto the ship. And that's it. And so she didn't see the fleet.
Yeah.
And now she's realizing, oh, and it's the throne room scene again. But Kylo's the bad guy.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that's done so well.
The scene between, like we were talking about it earlier, you're talking about how Adam Driver delivers these lines. You're still holding on, let go. It's one of my one of my favorite exchanges of dialogue in the entire saga. It's just so well delivered and acted on both parts. Especially Adam Driver. Holy hell! I mean, he just murders this scene.
He has such a ferocity, that we don't see in a lot of other Sith outside of Maul in Rebels.
Totally. I was even saying this too earlier before recording that I feel like there's such like a leap in maturation for Kylo from The Force Awakens to what we see in The Last Jedi. It's almost just like I don't want to say two different characters, but just in terms of composure.
He's
like
gone through a lot in a day and a half.
apparently, I mean, but it also lends to the performance of Adam Driver in this movie is just incredible what he does with Kylo Ren and how and Kylo Ren and Rey, that whole dynamic, Kylo Ren and Snoke. I mean, just phenomenal stuff that I eat up every time. And that was the thing when I left the theater. I was like, man, I loved all the Kylo Ren, Rey, Snoke, Luke stuff. Give me more of that. I could have watched a whole movie of just that stuff.
Yeah. And that's where I'm saying, like, and that's kind of where I'm going with the cut out the can of bite stuff, because there's so much going on in this movie that I feel like
you're probably right. Yeah.
You know, there's too much going on in this movie. What's good about this movie is great. And I just think you could truncate it.
Yeah, with the movie at 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
It's easy to say you can pull out the Canto Bite stuff or really shrink it down or what have you, but it's just like.
Meanwhile, I have the opposite complaint about the next movie. We need to add a half hour. All right.
Wait, I want Brandon's thoughts on the whole throne room stuff.
It's sick, bro. I like it.
Brandon, what are your thoughts about the rebel fleet trying to escape and there's a mutiny?
Oh,
I like it. I like how it unfolds in the movie. Yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
What are your thoughts on the mutiny?
I was like, dang, man, I don't know if this is
I love Billy Lord.
I love when the door comes down and it's Leia and she stuns Poe.
Yeah, that's good.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I like that a lot. But it's also just like, man, like, I get it. You're like fighting for your lives and you think you're right. You're so steadfast and like she is so wrong right now that I have to take over. And like it does play to Poe's convictions of how strong he holds those compared to Holdo's. And again, it's like this whole military hierarchy. You can play it that way of like, you're on a need to know basis, Poe. And Poe's like, no, you're on a need to know basis.
Yeah.
And it's just this imbalance of
egos.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, exactly. I'm not sure how I want to word it, but yeah, like that's.
I mean, egos in a very neutral.
For sure. And so it's that whole back and forth between Holdo and Poe is really interesting, but.
When I think where I had the complaint about the manufactured conflict, I think this sequence does make it worth it.
Okay.
To an extent.
Yeah.
Because it does show, again, it's about Poe failing. It shows
definitely.
And Billy Lord, who we know is going to play a huge role in the next film. Yeah, just because she's the wedge of these films.
Oh yeah, I get you.
You know, yeah, I like the mutiny. I love the turn of, and then I like how it ends with like, I like him.
Yeah,
you know,
it's like, come on, guys, like what, like you guys, we're trying to teach a lesson to this guy at the end of our lives right now.
Well, also, like Holdo is trying to teach him a lesson.
Yeah,
that's the thing,
like.
Right? But Holdo's also been, because the thing about Holdo that you were asking about, is her hair whatever
purple, lavender. What
is set up is that Holdo has been a member of the rebellion the whole time.
Yeah.
Right. So she is just as that's the reason she's Admiral Holdo,
Vice Admiral. Yeah,
is because she is just as experienced as. And
we later find out that her and Leia have a backstory and all that stuff.
Yeah. And that scene is so good. And when the line delivery of Laura Dern when she's like, "May the Force be with you always."
Oh yeah,
killer,
very good.
It's great. All right, so before we get to the moment, we need to go. Also, meanwhile, we got the ship invasion. We got Trash Can BB. We got Evil BB-8.
Evil BB-8.
We've got the Iron.
The Iron. I dig it.
Cool. I dig the Iron. And we've got the fight in the hangar bay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Fight in the hangar bay is frenetic, and I love it. I will say I have a close personal friend of mine.
BB-8?
No.
Oh.
I have a close personal friend of mine, and he is an active watcher of this show.
Oh.
And if I will give you only this clue, he was the final Q&A question last week.
Saul?
I was only giving the one clue, and you just named him.
Oh, okay. Was they not supposed to guess?
No, I didn't want to call him out. He hates this scene. Because he thinks it's so dumb that the chicken walker gets the top ripped off and BB-8's in there. I think it's fucking hilarious. I like it.
It is silly, but
it's silly,
sure.
but it's no sillier than Ewoks.
yeah.
Right, yeah.
And jumping on the fucking ATSD.
So, I mean, look, you can dislike that, and you can also dislike this, but let's not act like it's out of left field that this is happening in Star Wars.
I think it's. I like it. I like the Phasma fight. I don't remember what happens in the deleted scene for the Phasma fight.
Yeah.
But I remember I prefer it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I haven't really. See, the thing with the sequel trilogy is I haven't really
Gone into
spent as much time, obviously, with all the other films or the deleted scenes or learned about some of the production and stuff like that. Also, there's also just not as much of that material that Disney's released.
They did release an alternate cut for Phasma's final scene.
Okay,
Yeah, I don't remember
I mean,
it
I know
either.
they have.
I don't remember it,
deleted
but I remember I
scenes
like
and stuff. Yeah, I just haven't spent as much time watching them as I have the other one, so I can't fully comment on those, which I wish I could. Which I will go back and watch all that stuff.
Do you think Phasma's underused in this trilogy?
Yeah.
No. I don't, and I only say that only because, like, look, yes, you hired Gwendolyn Christie for this role. You only see her eye, and that's it. So, if it was someone else who didn't have a name like that, are we going to say, "Oh, this character was underutilized"? You know, no, I'm saying other people will say, say that of like, "Oh, she's underused because of the actor you casted for this role," and it's like, well, no, Phasma was this person in the First Order, and she played a particular role, and that was it. She died. Okay.
She didn't need to be in this movie, I don't think.
I think you could have saved her for the third movie and done something better with her in the third movie.
Yeah.
But I do like her end. I just wish, I don't know, I wish there was something more for her to do.
I was expecting her to come back because she supposedly dies off screen at the end of Force Awakens, and then she comes back in this. So I'm like,
yeah.
I didn't see a body, so
Yeah.
she's gonna be back.
I mean,
as
I like
Skywalker.
her. I like her character a lot.
That would have been a funny
Never came
thing.
back.
Like, you always think she dies, but she keeps popping up.
Well, no, it's just a different.
Chrome Dome, yeah.
The dead speak. The voice of Captain Phasma has been heard across the galaxy.
Well, because in the books, there's two. She's the head of the Stormtrooper Corps, and then she kind of has this rival, Captain Cardinal, who's in her same armor, but it's all red instead of all silver.
I mean, look, people asked so you asked the question, it was Phasma underused? Was Captain Kennedy? I mean, was any of these other, like,
No,
it's just like...
But Kennedy's not a recurring character.
No, but I
Like-
mean, it's...
I don't know.
I don't take
it's
too much umbrage with how she was used.
I think she's used just as well as... I think she's used better than Boba Fett's used in the original trilogy, is my opinion. So... Because she goes out in a similar way to Boba Fett. It's quick, it's brutal, like...
they both fall down.
But she wasn't left for dead on the Sons of Tatooine.
So all of these three scenes...
Thank you, Tamora.
all of these three scenes, I love how they come together and culminate in the Holdo maneuver.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Totally.
Now, we talked about our theater experiences. This scene works flawless. The reason I saw this movie so many times is the Holdo maneuver.
Dude, it was
so
absolutely
great.
You're absolutely correct. Like, if I ever have a chance to see The Last Jedi in theater, save any Star Wars movie really, but man, this is a point in the movie where I'm in a theater, I'm like, yeah, let me experience this thing. All the sound, even the lack of sound, and then comes in the sound after the fact.
Well, they took everyone's favorite sound,
Yes, they did.
the seismic charge, and turned it up to 22.
Oh,
Right?
I love it.
God, that sound is the best.
Brando, how do you feel about the Holdo maneuver?
I love it. Yeah, I don't remember the first. I remember the third time I saw it opening weekend. The people were like blown away.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's just also like when you see
I like
it
how
happen,
she looks out the window and nods at Paul
Yeah.
Walker. This is for family.
oh my god.
one last ride.
One last ride.
I love the fact that
I swallowed a bunch of marbles.
when I saw this happen, I was like, yeah, how come no one else has ever done this before?
Sean sees me yawning.
Well, drink some water.
It's Jan Kapoor over there.
Jeez. All right.
Anyways.
Well,
That's a
all right.
bad
What do you
joke.
think about Battle Crate?
Love it.
fun.
Love it.
I think it's really cool.
I
like the visual of it.
Absolutely love the Falcon flying through the salt caverns.
Again,
I love the whole Falcon part of it. For me, when Rey goes, "Woo, I like this," like that is pure Star Wars.
Yes.
Yeah.
in that moment.
I wanted that moment to last so much longer. Because when that music kicks in, let me tell you, I'm Kevin Smets with the chills right there. Like I absolutely, when I watch it at home, I'm turning the volume up to
Way up.
1 billion.
Yeah.
I'm just
How
living
many TIE
in that
fighters
moment.
does it take out in one shot? 2 or 3? I think it's 3.
It's 3.
I don't even care that the porgs are smacking around.
No,
on
I
the-
love it.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. I don't care that they are like. It's because that's like that's the 3PO part of it all,
Yeah.
right? It's just like 3PO leaning on you and you're shoving him off, whatever.
Yeah, I
you know.
love the
shut
fact-
him up or shut him down. It's like
Well,
you're
I just love the
porgs
fact that the porgs like got onto the ship.
Yeah.
they started nesting in the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah.
It was just
And Chewie's just dealing
I
with
have
it.
I feel less positively about the ski speeders.
okay.
I like them.
I like the fact that because they're so old and broken down and not maintained, so they're all rickety, and it really actually adds it's that's what the resistance is. Like they don't have, they're always on the run, picking up junk to use for the resistance.
They don't
you know?
anymore because Poe got it blown up.
Well,
Yeah, I think that's I disagree with your statement about that's what they are. I think that's what they're becoming, right?
sure. Well, yeah. I guess it makes sense in this movie. Yeah.
Yeah, the ATM 6s with the big giant cannons on the back. I like them. They're cool. I think it's funny. You've noticed there's AT-ATs in that scene too, right?
Yeah.
And they're way tiny compared to the ATM 6s.
Sure.
No, you didn't notice that?
No.
Okay.
I'm trying to visualize now.
Yeah, if you look, when they show the wide shot, there's little ones next to and those are AT-ATs like Battle of Hoth AT-ATs.
Oh, okay. Huh. I'll have to go back and revisit that sequence.
Battle of Hoth, General Veers?
Veers Watch, where you at, bud? All right,
Salt.
What do you? Yeah, I like that. I like that guy.
Yeah. You mean Gareth Edwards?
No, that's the guy next
No,
to him.
no. The guy that does the salt thing. He is Andrew.
Wait, really?
Yeah, Gareth Edwards is standing next to him.
Oh, okay. Like I
Salt,
said, I got to rewatch the sequence.
Salt guy is played by Andrew Jack, and
Andrew
he is
Jack.
also in Force Awakens.
Oh, okay, cool.
And I only know that because of Schmodown. Also, he died.
And he dies. Yeah.
No, I mean like the actor died. That's
Oh.
why I remember.
Damn. Okay. Well, moving.
Anyways,
on.
yeah. So I love the scene of the shuttle coming down and everyone's like pulling out their blasters
Yeah,
and
yeah.
shooting. And they slide in. Wait, don't shoot.
I love the Vulpix on this planet. Very
They're
cool.
Vulpix is a Pokemon.
Crystal
Vulpix.
Critters?
Vulptex.
What are these ones called?
Vulptex.
Vulptex? What did I say? Vulpix? I said Vulpix.
That's Pokemon.
Right. Well, you get me, right?
Yeah.
You get it. You
I
guys
also
got it.
love the Pokemon Vulptex.
Yeah.
It's very, very cute.
But I love those foxes.
Yeah,
Great.
I like the crystal foxes. They're super cool. And
Very
they make
cool.
sense for this planet. I like we get a 3PO 3720 to 1 reference.
Yes. Yeah.
All right, let's talk about my tattoo.
Your tattoo,
Luke. Luke comes to Crate.
I love it.
I love it.
it's great.
So good. The music.
The moment. Yeah.
So on your first watch, did you? So first off, I love how he silently comes into the base, kind of lets Leia know he's there,
Yeah.
and now's their time to leave, and that he's going to go deal with it. And I think Leia knows what's going on.
Yes.
I think
100%.
Leia knows it's not him
I think the dice like solidifies
because
it. Like,
you mentioned that
He knows.
that like, oh well, he touches her, but I think that's the point of that. I think that he touches her and she knows
that
he's not real. That's
actually
not
there.
him.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
not there. When did you guys realize he wasn't there?
until it was clear to everyone else in the movie. Honestly, it got me, man.
And when was that?
What?
I was confused. 'cause
when the saber, like when he.
Okay.
Well,
I was confused because he had the lightsaber that was destroyed.
Okay.
But I didn't know that it meant that he wasn't there.
So
I thought something was up.
you thought
Yeah.
because he could have rebuilt that saber.
because it's already split apart,
With
right?
what time?
Well, when he's on Octo, he could have rebuilt a new saber that's identical to.
Okay, well that'd be weird, but yeah.
So, I knew. I don't mean to like be like.
But you do.
No, I really don't.
It's okay.
I'm saying I love the visual because they use a lot of visual cues.
Oh,
to tell
100%.
you. And I loved that. I knew like I didn't know when he was interacting with Leia, but as soon as I saw him step out, I said, "That's not what Luke looks like."
I see. Yes, 100%. I did that, but I was like, I don't know what's
You
going on.
didn't know what it
here.
was.
I don't know what. Like, okay, he does not look like
Yeah.
that. Did he just?
'Cause he's
like,
wearing-
get like just from Mengel and just like.
Yeah, he's much more put together.
He's
His
way more
hair's
put together.
darker.
He's wearing his Return of the Jedi robes, and I went like I remember going to Jill like, "Do you know what's going on?" Like, because I was like,
And she was like, "Shh, I don't know. Let me watch the movie."
No, she's like, well, like I didn't say, "Do you know what's going on?" But I was like my excitement. I'm
Yeah.
like,
It's Luke.
like that's Luke. But not only that, but because to me they foreshadowed that so well with the Force Skype, right?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
My initial thought was much more morbid.
Oh no.
I thought that he was a Force ghost and he killed himself.
Oh God!
the only way I can get over there is
I'm like, he's
seppuku.
dead. Like, It was an emotional roller coaster because I'm like, he's dead, and then they cut to him on the island, and I'm like, he's alive, and then he dies, and I'm like, he's dead again. No.
So I'm forgetting. But does when Yoda shows up, is he blue or is he in full color?
Who?
Yoda?
Yoda?
Yeah.
He's full color with the blue aura.
Blue glow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which we didn't talk about the puppet of Yoda. How did
No,
you
we
like?
said he looks great.
Yeah, looks great.
We talked. Yeah, we said Yoda looks great. Yoda looks great. Yoda looks great. That's what we were talking about.
Oh.
But we didn't know. You're right. We didn't use our words to iterate. That,
Yeah. Okay. Anyways, going back.
I
to
love the
Luke.
puppet Yoda, but it's also like a CGI edited puppet Yoda, and I think that is great.
Yeah, that's pretty
that
good.
they melded the two.
But yeah, I didn't know it was. I didn't really fully understand what was going on. Yeah, something was up because you see Luke. He doesn't have the gray beard and hair and all that stuff. I'm like, what is?
You know what? I'm gonna let me correct myself.
Okay.
I realized what had happened, that it was not really Luke. After the more.
Oh, I just thought Luke was so
That was
powerful.
awesome. Like,
I just thought.
I love Kylo's just screaming.
Oh man, it's just like man.
think
this
we
dude,
got him.
I was like, damn, Kylo
honestly,
hates
but, like,
his uncle. Like, oh
that
my gosh.
scene was like so amazing because this is exactly what you wanted to see going into this movie. It's him taking on the whole First Order by himself, and then literally like, of course we know as the audience, but when like Kylo Ren is like, I want every gun that we have to fire on that man. it's like yeah, because we know that's Luke mother effing Skywalker,
and they're still shooting, and he's just like, you see all the veins in his neck.
Yeah, so like everyone else in the First Order is like, this is weird, but like it's like us and the audience and Kylo Ren are both like, yeah, you better take every gun that you have.
That's the smartest thing you've ever done, Kylo.
100%.
That is the move.
Absolutely. That's what you do.
It's such a great line.
And then I love the.
I do. I know people like complain about that. They're like,
not.
They're like, that's more Mark Hamill than Luke
That's
Skywalker.
it is. It
Great.
is.
But I
Wonderful.
love it.
And
Let
I don't
Mark
have a problem
Hamill
with it.
be Mark Hamill.
I don't have a problem with it because it totally does feel a Mark Hamill thing, and I'm like, well, to me, Luke Skywalker and Mark Hamill, they're one and the same.
Yeah,
So it's like, yeah,
I love it. I laughed in the
I
theater.
did too.
I thought it was great. I was like, oh man, Luke
I thought
is powerful
fucking
AF.
badass.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so the fight, he's just dodging, dipping, ducking.
Jedi.
He takes Patrick O'Houlihan's. You know, if you dodge, if you could dodge a
His
turbo,
feet,
He
his
went to
feet,
the school
his feet
and-
slide across the ground, leave no marks.
leave no marks.
I didn't even pick that up
Yeah.
on the first watch.
Yeah.
I didn't pick any of that up on the first watch, man. And then, but it's just like, again, just very. Ryan Johnson was like, no, I'm letting you know.
Yeah, well, because it's the same makeup.
Like,
and
I'm not trying to trick you, but you're not looking for this.
It's the
stuff,
same
you know?
makeup and costuming from the flashback.
Yes, yeah. Well, didn't he have his white robes in that
I think he
flashback?
did.
Yeah,
I think he had the white.
yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah,
The cream color.
yeah, like the cream color
I'm
one.
gonna go
Yeah.
back and double
But
check.
he looks
Yeah.
the
I'm gonna
version
go
that
back.
Kylo remembers.
I'm
in
gonna
the
go back and
flashback.
double
Yes.
check that, and I'm
What
gonna go
I-
back and double check the Senate guards.
Yeah. What I like about, like, thematically about the way he looks is he presents himself as the best version of himself. Like, that's why he has the blue legacy saber, because the green saber is associated with his failure of
Yes.
igniting it over Kylo to kill him. So he uses the blue because that's like the best version of himself that he could envision is and how he looks in general. Like obviously, like his hair's clean, he's cleaned up.
Yeah.
He looks younger.
The blue lightsaber should have been a dead giveaway to Kylo, but he was so filled with rage he couldn't see past the obvious mistake in front of him that he couldn't possibly have that lightsaber because I just ripped it in half with Rey and it's gone. There's no way you're going to fuse that back together no matter whatever. And he's so rage-filled at Luke Skywalker, he can't see what's in front of him or what's not in front of him, you know? And it's, on a rewatch, it's just like, damn, this is great.
Ben, I'm sorry. I'm sure you are.
So
Good line.
we get
He pokes him and he's like, oh, wait, you're...
Yeah.
No!
I was
So-
like, damn, Luke killed himself. That was my thought.
so this is the first time I have cried during a Star Wars movie.
I'll tell you this much. I think I was in denial that Luke died. I actually was in denial because I did not cry.
I fucking love that shot. Luke's final shot.
Great. It's great.
With the twin sons.
He dies on his own terms.
And the stereotypical like pink and gold and red Tatooine sky. I want that as a watercolor tattoo.
That'd be cool.
Luke meditating on the rock
Damn.
with the sky with the twin suns behind him. Because I fucking love that shot. And I think this is the best way for Luke to go.
Yeah.
100%.
To me, yeah, he dies on his own terms, and he dies as a true Jedi.
Well, and he dies saving his sister. He dies saving the rebellion.
And-
he dies teaching his failed Padawan a lesson, and he dies teaching his new Padawan a lesson.
Yeah.
Right?
He gives
Like-
the galaxy hope. We see the kids like telling the story of the Battle of Crate
Yeah.
Yeah.
on Canto Bight.
Don't know how they found it.
But the legend and myth is reborn.
It spreads fast,
you know?
man. It
Yeah.
spreads fast.
The Luke Skywalker you wanted to see from the get-go is back, if only temporarily, which is bittersweet, sure. And again, I think initially I was definitely in denial that Luke, like, nah, he's not. I know he just disappeared in like the way that Yoda did when he died, but this is the second movie. We got another movie to go, and so I did not get as emotional as I got on the second and third rewatch of the movie, where I'm like,
every fucking time.
oh no,
Just
now
thinking-
every now
Just
I do.
thinking about it.
every time
every
now,
fucking time.
but like that first time I remember just like, wait, no. What?
Yeah.
So
I felt
I was
similarly, like I said, it was like an emotional roller coaster for me. I was like, he's dead. He's alive. He's dead again. Oh man.
Wait, he was never dead, but now he is.
Yeah, but no, and he goes out, in my opinion, doing the most powerful Force move that we've ever seen anybody. We've never seen anybody project themselves across the galaxy that convincingly. We even hear Kylo Ren in the early movie.
Except I just cited a time that we did
It
that.
doesn't really count.
It was inside a temple.
Yeah, it doesn't really count. And it doesn't really count. But like,
Remember the time that Bendu called down a storm on an entire fleet of Imperial ships?
That was cool.
I don't care
That's
about
cool.
the
That was
Bendu.
really cool. What?
Anyways.
Guys, we've actually eclipsed the runtime of The Last Jedi.
But you know what?
just so
It's
you
the
know.
most. It's the most. I don't disagree with you because it's the most Jedi thing he could have done.
Yeah, because he does it. We see earlier in the movie, Kylo Ren says, "I know you're not doing this because the effort would kill you." So it sets up the idea
Yeah.
that this type of force
Yeah.
power, if pushed far enough, will kill you.
Right? How
Yeah.
are you doing? Yeah, exactly.
100%.
Yeah.
And so Luke is able to do it that well because he is such a powerful Jedi, and he goes out like a Jedi using the Force for knowledge and defense.
By the way, he's also in a temple
Never for
Well, I
attack.
mean, he's like,
on a meditation.
he's
platform.
outside.
He uses the Force for knowledge.
Well,
and
actually, you know where he's
defense.
sitting?
On that rock where he was teaching Rey the first lesson.
I think it's the rock Ray cut. No, you're right.
No,
It's-
yeah,
Okay.
that's in a different spot.
You got a lot to look up after this episode, Sean.
Yeah, you're like
I'm
over
sorry,
3
I
here,
didn't
man.
rewatch the movie right when you know. Anyways, whatever.
Well,
Okay.
we'll just take our word for it. That's all. No, so this was it was. Such
I was
a
wrong.
poignant-
I was wrong about Palpatine's guards in that shot, but they are blue in Attack of the Clones and Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
So
He's like, now that I'm evil.
Now that I'm evil, I've red guards.
They're red.
That's what I said.
What if I had a whole fleet of stormtroopers and they're all red?
I love how that guy, like, we see him come up in, like, the Bad Batch. He's got, like, bright yellow eyes. He's wearing a all black hood, wrinkly face, and he's like, I love my people of the Empire. I'm a good guy. I'm like, no, the frick you're not, dude. God damn. How did anybody in that Senate go, yeah, that guy, he's a good man.
I want to cut that. When I get back to streaming, I want to have a button that says, no, the frickin' not, dude. Yeah, right.
All right, let's wrap this up because we've been going for too long. And Rey lifts rocks, saves everybody, and
beautiful
they get on the
scene.
Millennium Falcon, and they're
I
like,
will not be the last Jedi.
yeah.
Very good.
Yeah,
And we see the books.
and we see the
see the
books.
books.
Poe and Rey meet.
We have everything we need.
How weird.
Like,
How weird that two of our principal characters haven't met.
But
Yeah.
apparently they met in The Force Awakens in the book.
Yeah.
And they changed it.
yeah.
Because canon is a lie.
And then I was like, then wait, were you shipping Poe and Rey after they met?
Was I? No,
Yeah,
I
no.
was shipping Poe and Finn.
Sure.
That would have been nice.
Fucking take, not th- like, look,
You
not,
could ship Poe with anybody.
yeah, I was shipped, you know who else I'm shipping? Poe and Claude.
Oh,
We'll get to that next week.
sure.
Yeah.
I want to talk a lot about Claude.
Okay,
You know
great.
who I'm shipping? I'm shipping Lando and that one guy driving the thing on Pisana that goes, okay. That's what I'm shipping.
How did you guys like the ending of this movie though?
It's great.
I don't.
Okay.
I like it. Again, it just feels so off for Star Wars to me. Like it's got the narration, and then we have the flash to the broom kid thing.
Mm-hmm.
I like the sentiment behind all of it.
People take the broom kid thing too literally.
I think I agree with
Yeah.
that. I think
Yeah.
people take that too literally, because I think it's more a message about what's, like the message of the film.
I mean, but I got a little giddy when he used the Force to grab the broom.
Sure.
Yes, I was like,
know?
dude, that's very cool.
I don't think I got giddy. I kind of just
I
went,
was like,
I think I just kind of went, huh?
I'm just like, of course there are other Force wielders out there, you know.
and
of
he's not
course.
going to be a Jedi because to assume if the Jedi dies, the light dies, that's vanity. He's just a good kid who can use the Force.
Damn.
I would bet. I hope if we get whatever happens after, that he's one of the new young Jedi.
How do you make that clear, though? Like, oh, I was the broom kid when
His first shot is gonna
remember
be
when Rose and
sweeping.
Finn showed up.
Well,
Give
you
him
get,
the ring. The ring.
You get the
ring.
same actor. He's got the ring, and he can make reference to it. Like
used to take care of
he
Fatty.
tells another kid,
I was on
I met
Cantabite. Yeah.
I met Master Finn. Whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because Finn is the one starting the new Jedi Temple.
Cool.
That's my pitch.
With Rey.
No, Rey does her own thing.
No. Okay.
Yeah, Rey's gonna teach Finn.
She has her own temple, and they
Yeah.
have competing temples, and then they have a dodgeball match.
Well, because Rey teaches Finn everything she knows.
yeah.
And then
Which
goes
is not
off. Goes off and does her thing. But Finn, because he was indoctrinated as a child, he wants to make a effort to change the lives of other children. And is going to teach them good things like being a Jedi.
Okay. Well, hopefully they do that in the next movie. All right. If you stuck around for this long, if you listen or watched this whole episode,
I bet you a lot of people did.
maybe. That's great if you were jumping around trying to find your favorite hated spot of this movie.
Wait,
and see what we had to say.
If you've made
kudos.
if you've made it this far into the podcast, I want you to comment down below. I forget exactly what Rose says, but like I'd like to put my whole fist through this town. Say that in the comments.
Give this town a good fisting. All right.
Yeah.
Thanks
Yo,
for
write in the comments. I'd like to fist this down.
thanks for tuning in, and come back next time for our discussion on the rise of Skywalker. I don't know if it'll be this long.
Do you think it'll be more controversial?
Who knows? So tune in to find out. Again, hit the subscribe button if you could. Hit the like button. Leave the comment that Brandon's asking for. You can follow us on all the socials: Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, and podcast feed. Did I say that? Podcast feed? Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcast. Until next time.
Subscribe to the podcast.
And then we'll see you next time.
Scoundrel. Scoundrel. like the sound of that.